set up, man. Oh no, what are you doing here?
Hey, you're still here, don't worry. The Jones of the game, you're on. Wow. Are you here today? Yeah, but so are you. So are you. Okay. The Jets,
You're still calling.
yeah, you're still drawing hanging.
I
What did you do?
When he said he was gonna, because you weren't meeting.
Yeah. No, this is.
Nothing against you.
I'm pleased to meet you.
I got Jeff Breslauer coming in, co-hosting tomorrow, but he didn't.
No.
I told him to come in.
Brent Williams.
I'm gonna have him take my place. I'm gonna have Jeff be the Jeff Breslauer show.
You're a handsome guy. I thought you were.
And then he's gonna be surprised and I'll be the guest.
Oh, this is perfect. This was great. I was hoping to get that.
The more the merrier.
You're a makeup artist as well. I thought that was interesting. You worked on. I covered a POS. You worked on.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Are we going to use you in the writing department? Yeah, no, keep fresh, baby. You too, sir. Here's one thing. Danny, how are you, sir?
Good morning.
Dan the man, Rob.
Brought some bagels in.
I love you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Live.
Some bagels.
Facebook Live.
All right, so I brought you guys a present
All right. Oh, cool.
right here.
Well, let's see. I hope my phone is not
You
too
want
wide
Present,
to
present.
fit
You can
that.
keep Maryland.
I brought you this, Pat. You put your phone in there. It's a tripod. You set it up, and then you don't have to do the whole,
I'm honored, sir.
Blair Witch thing.
Yeah, that hurts.
Unless Marilyn wants to use it, are you going to live stream?
You want a live stream or who's live?
I
your
didn't,
phone?
I didn't even think of it.
I'm thinking about going Facebook Live. I got damn near 5,000 friends. Why not?
Yeah.
I
all-
should actually.
I saw your Facebook page. I was gonna send you a request, but it says I have reached my max.
Oh, I have some because occasionally people, leave.
Yeah, they try.
Occasionally I also go and see what's inactive and.
We have like damn near 100 mutual friends. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Steve
surprise
knows
me,
everybody.
actually.
We know, so.
Doesn't surprise me.
Let's see. Yeah, sometimes I do sweeps, so I'll go in there and I'll be like, "Who's this guy in Romania?"
It's like basically it's like you go in there and if there's no photo, I kind of put the cursor
Yeah, we
over
have
it
76
Yeah.
mutual friends.
and
I'm gonna sit here.
I mean, I got dozens that I just don't, some just don't interact,
Oh, I know. You know Barry Livingston and you know Keith Coogan and Pinky.
yes.
I just saw Keith.
Barry,
I know Stan real well. I'm gonna be seeing Stan after this.
I know Barry, but he probably wouldn't remember me. It's like because we kind of met a few years ago.
Yapakuro.
But
You know him
Keith,
too?
Keith very well.
Yeah.
Okay, we are streaming on YouTube right now.
Okay, watch your lingo, everybody. We are now streaming on YouTube.
This is about 3
Uh-oh.
years ago, Keith hanging out. Yeah. His wife, him and his wife is so cool.
I actually did Keith's headshots a couple years back.
Did you do the one with the leather jacket? Or which one did you do of his?
Why did I do that?
He had some really
Oh my
cool
God,
ones. Yeah.
Dan,
I
you
don't,
rock.
you know, I
These
can't
look
remember.
chopped up
I
like
didn't
this.
realize how short he was.
Are you gonna want me?
Oh, we're going to put you right here.
Right here?
And you
Okay.
talk into the rubber band. It's a side feed mic.
Okay.
All right, you want me to?
Yeah, I tested all the mics. They should all be working.
What is the Wi-Fi here?
You have to ask producer Dan.
No, producer Dan does not know. I can't get
So I
Wi-Fi in
figured
here.
this-
The building's too closed
I
in.
know how to work here, and that's about it.
I think it's chaotic 2012.
Um,
Let's see. Oh, man, I'm so glad it's that drive.
Yeah, from Fresno, man. That's whoa. And you got headphones there.
his here, and I gotta bring it back.
I'd rather have him on mic number 3.
You just have to adjust the legs and sturdy to go.
We could have him on mic 2, but you have to turn mic 2
You
on.
could also pivot the legs straight. Producer Dan brought bagels. You guys want a bagel?
Not at the moment.
Oh, Your Highness, they will be sitting outside when you change your mind. I'll have them later. Okay, sounds good. Jeff?
Oh, is that from our going to be our new sponsor? What's his name? Lamar or Jamal?
Jamal, yes, he is ready. He's going to be on
Gotta
our
be careful
show.
with our Indian accents when we
He,
do
yeah. No more Indian accent. He's going to be on our show Monday. Monday's going to sign up, and we'll get some money.
Okay, where's my headphones?
Dan, what's the Wi-Fi? I mean, I can see it. I just,
I think it's chaotic 2012.
Oh, okay. I see a chaotic radio com and then dash 5G. But will I need a password? I will need a password.
And I think that's chaotic 2000.
Oh, I just
Got
gotta-
it. Capitals or non-capitals?
Non-capitals. I know it's so difficult, man. In my house, when I'm online, I have so many different passwords, and then I forget them, and then I have to redo them, and they say you cannot use this password; it's already been used. I'm like, what the f, like it's very irritating.
Chaotic 2000, you said?
2012.
Ah, got it. That was my mistake.
Hey, Jeff,
Yeah.
if you go Facebook Live, can you just tag me in the post? Because I'm not really good at the Facebook Live. Are you?
You hit the button.
I don't
You pushing the button.
No, still incorrect.
Yeah, and then we're going to be on YouTube. As you guys can see, there's cameras in each corner of the room. And this will be on YouTube, and then once it passes the sensors, we're good to go. And I'll post that on my Facebook. I'll give you my business card,
Okay.
and that'll have my name on it. And you could fetch it off my my Facebook page.
Okay.
I post it every day.
Yeah, I'm getting incorrect password. So, yeah, I won't be able to do Facebook Live if I can't get
Same error.
And it's weird. I don't know what service do you have?
T-Mobile, but it shouldn't matter. I'm going Wi-Fi using chaotic radio.
Oh, this is so we could hear Dan when I Facebook Live. 'Cause
Unless-
on the
But
speaker.
I mean, when you go Facebook Live, can you tag me, Marilyn, and Dan and Pat into
I don't know. They'll just. Well, everybody knows who we are, but.
I didn't know if you.
That's after I tag when it goes up on the Facebook.
Yeah, like when you before you go live.
Well, here, why don't you?
I'm
Here, I'll show you how to.
Here, why don't you do that? Get it started for me.
You want me to start now, or do you want?
Well, I already. I pressed the button live. Is it says live right now?
Oh, are you actually not doing the horizontal?
Oh, should I?
I'm a
tell
camera person, so like.
Tell me, help me out, Marilyn.
It's like this is not how we hold cameras. This is how we hold cameras.
Okay, you tell me how to hold camera. I hold camera. I'm movie star. I don't hold camera. You maybe do hold camera.
Oh, invite friends?
Well, we could do that. I could tell them.
Wait, because
Hey,
I just. Oops. Wait, where is it? I just. Okay, where'd it go?
Here,
I just basically go
I messed
do
up
that.
here.
Go live. I wait, and then
Hello.
press the button. And oh,
Hello.
You guys are the money shots. You're the guest. Here you go.
Okay.
I accidentally cleared the thing, so.
Okay. Clear all. Okay.
You get along fine unless you messed with this porn. Jeff and his porn.
Did I say you could talk right now? Okay.
Okay, this is.
It
not
says
gonna-
Jeff Sargent was live. Okay, let's go Jeff Sargent live again. Okay.
That's not gonna work.
Okay.
Danny, thank you for the bagels.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks.
Son of a bitch.
Was that maybe me?
No, that was my fault.
Across the screens.
That was. Oh,
The
Steve,
second
we're
greatest
gonna
line
go
of the
like
movie.
this.
The first is when he says print is dead.
We're doing what?
Your mic number 1, 2, 3. Number 3.
Do I pivot it this way or what?
Mic number. Speaking to the mic, Steve.
Testing 1, 2,
Well,
3.
put your headphones on so you can hear yourself.
Thank
See, I never pictured Steve looking like Lee Majors. This is kind of cool.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2. It doesn't sounds a little weird. It's good to see you, Pat.
You too.
Dude, I thought you were going to be at
I
a.
did too. The collab, I think it was money. They pushed it back.
Uh huh.
You know what I mean? And I told him, hey, no, have a party.
This is
tomorrow.
awesome. Yeah.
No, it's great to meet you.
No, I know because I was thinking, when would I be Pat now? And I don't.
I'm honored, actually.
So, yes, Mike's dead.
This mic is
I've
dead.
got a blank screen.
Wow.
I don't know why there's a blank screen. A black screen, no
There you go.
less.
Yeah. Now, if you tighten those things, there you go. Look at that.
3
Oh, there
minutes
you go,
time,
man.
kids.
You kind of get the panoramic view. So you shoot pictures sideways like this, Marilyn?
That's.
I do
yeah,
too. My
yeah.
wife's like, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, "Cause you get the whole."
It's,
better to-
you know what I say?
It's like a fish.
When you hold it this way, I say that's looking for a window. This is actually being outside.
Thank you. Yes, you understand. Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah, because it's like when people do that, I'm like, move it out of the way.
Hello.
I think I need to reboot my phone.
What the hell are you playing, Dan?
It's Nick Cave.
Oh.
In the bed scene.
It's the Nick Cave in the best. Okay, then it's cool. I didn't know. Hey.
Old man poser.
Jeff, I think I'm still dead here.
I've got
Jeff,
polka, okay?
Jeff,
I
Steve
got
is still there.
It's still dead. It's dead, Jim.
okay.
Yeah, unmute his mic. It should be fine.
Unmute his mic.
Testing.
Wait, what number is he?
1, 2, 3.
Oh, there it is.
Testing. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, I hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna do this so that I can face everybody.
All right, let me
Yeah.
fade out of this song and we'll get the show started a little bit early. But
Okay. Oh, for those of you on Facebook, we haven't officially started yet. Okay. So just hold on. Do not go anywhere. Do not go to your job. Do not go to your desk. Do not get a cup of coffee.
Getting ourselves
Just keep watching.
situated.
Oh look, hey, Steve Joyner's watching. Hey, look at that. Hey.
All right, now let's do this again
Okay.
here.
All right, so Facebook.
Okay, this is how we get ready for the Jeff Sargent show. Okay. Is that what I sound like?
I don't know. Yeah, that's you. I don't know what I should
I'm going to voiceover school.
we call it chaotic radio for a reason. All right, Jeff, I'm going to hand the show over to you
Oh, thank you.
and do your introduction song and introduce our guests. And
Yeah, do the whole routine.
yeah,
Okay.
I'll be here watching the board and
Okay.
my 5 computers.
Countdown.
Yeah.
Do the thing like Wayne and Garth do on the, you know. when the-
Yeah, let's
we
start this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, Rancho Cucamonga and Chaotic Radio. It's time for the Jeff Sargent Show. You know what? It's only 100. Wait, I shouldn't say. Never mind. Stop. Reverse. Okay. Only an hour away from Hollywood. Hour and a half from Northridge. From Calabasas, I don't know how long it would be. Might be 2 hours in traffic. It really doesn't take that long to get here. Ask Steve.
Yeah.
With our host, Jakey! And our
Good
producer,
morning,
Dan.
Jakey.
Producer Dan, the man behind the glass.
Yes.
Show me your hands. What are you doing with your hands? We can't see your hands. Show us your hands. Okay. All right. The man, the catalyst that holds part A and B together. And we have a special surprise for you this morning.
My mic is off.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
How's this? Can you hear me? Okay, cool.
God. All right. Our special guests today.
You loved her in Clerks and Alien Armageddon.
We have Marilyn Gigliotti.
We're messing with your name, Marilyn.
Marilyn.
Gigliotti.
I was right. I said it right, and you told me I pronounced it wrong
You
yesterday.
kept pronouncing the H. Gigliotti. That's how
No,
she
no,
says
I
it.
did not. Marilyn Gigliotti, our special guest, and our
Yeah,
special
our
co-host, our co-host,
Steve Joyner edition.
Steve Joyner.
Hello.
Yes, Steve.
Hello.
You're a handsome cat, Steve.
Thank you. I'm glad to see Patrick. Patrick's here.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
This is too cool.
Then, again, they pushed it back, and I was on Hollywood Boulevard after we taped and everything yesterday.
Yeah.
huh.
They pushed it back, and I'm free. So it's a horror.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm honored, man.
No, seriously, because it's like I was looking forward to seeing you here, and then I was told that you weren't going to be here. I was like, oh,
I
okay.
apologize.
But then you showed up, and that was a great surprise.
It wasn't you, it was me. Wow. Well, talk to us. Tell us about yourselves. We'll start with you, Steve, because Marilyn we're saving for the next 30 seconds. What's up, Steve Joyner of...
Steve was gonna. That's our co-host. He was gonna co-host, fill in for Pat
He was
today.
filling in for me, and then they canceled my gig.
Now Steve drove all the way from. He drove like 100 and.
No, dude.
Came from, like,
I
Fresno.
came from the Fresno area up by Yosemite. I left at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I
Oh,
thought I
wow.
came for
I
it.
was tired, but you know, I stopped at a truck stop in Bakersfield. You got these things called West Coast turnaround. So
Yes.
I'm ready. You know, no, I'm kidding.
You bought the
no.
weed, the pills.
It's a bathroom, right? No. This is really a thrill to be here. I mean, I think the world of you guys, and
We love you. Thank
I've
you.
always loved this woman's
We
work.
adore this
I mean,
woman.
this is
Thank
too good. And I got
you.
to talk to her outside. But no, I was I don't know. Jeff and I are friends, and I have a boring story. I book people on radio programs, and now I feel very awkward being on a radio program.
Steve has supplied us with some wonderful people.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure to have him here.
Yeah,
Thanks,
no,
Dave.
it literally is. Thank you so much.
No worries.
There he is.
I supplied Marilyn. I supplied Marilyn
They
because I
protect-
called her on the phone and I said, "Come on down to my show."
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
he's
behind
stalking
the
Marilyn
glass.
for a while. He promised to stop stealing her garbage.
It's just
I didn't realize it was missing.
Now Jeff and I, we've been Facebook friends for a long time, and we met each other. We literally physically met at the Hollywood show. It was almost a month now.
Yeah.
And I was there all day with Eddie Deason. You know Eddie Deason?
I've met him. I doubt
Yeah.
he would remember me.
I spent the whole day with him. He's like, Steve, take a picture. Anyway, so I'm with Eddie all day, and we started talking. And little did I know that Jeff did radio, and I told you about the programs I worked with in the past. They were all back east or up north. And they would do calling guests. And Marilyn said it best. She said, you know, when you're in the studio and you're looking each other in the eye, it's so much more intimate, so much better.
There's an energy there.
It is.
Yeah, there is.
The
There
energy,
totally.
man.
It's here, and I love the fact that this is a Southern California-based radio program. But what I've noticed is, because I've sent them a couple of guests, some of them act like driving out here is like driving to Arizona. Are you kidding me?
Kinda.
Oh,
You know.
where are you from? Hold on, look.
But here's the thing, though. It's like I had to leave so early in the morning that I knew there wasn't going to be much traffic. The traffic's going to be going back, and it's not so much the distance; it's dealing with the traffic.
Going back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but coming down here was great. Though.
It's like I don't mind leaving early. It's like, in fact, this weekend I've got, because I do hair and makeup as well, and I'm going to be working on a wedding in Woodland Hills.
Are you really? Wow.
And you know, they said it's like, oh, it's going to be at 7 o'clock. I'm like, oh, that's good. I like it. I like it early in the morning. I don't like when it's at 10 o'clock when I got to deal with traffic to get there.
Yeah, this is
How
before.
long are you going to be? Oh, go on, Jeff. How long are you going to be in Woodland Hills?
I don't know. I don't get given this schedule. So.
If you have time,
not so much the distance. It's dealing with
Dan, we should watch the show while we're doing the show. So if you have time, over in Woodland Hills, at the Motion Picture Country Home and Hospital, behind the Country Home and Hospital, they have Roddy McDowell's rose bushes, and in the center of it, he gave the Mopic Country Home his statue from the last Planet of the Apes of him as the lawgiver.
Oh, wow.
So if you want to see an actual working prop from the Planet of the Apes, it's right over there in Woodland Hills.
Really?
Cool.
Oh yeah.
That's where Joe Alves lives, though.
Joe Alves is. By the way, I forgot you know Joe. Yeah, he's 10 minutes. He's 10 minutes from us.
Do you know who Joe Alves is?
No.
He's a mutual friend of ours. He's the guy that made the shark for Jaws.
Oh, okay.
He was a production designer. He started way back when, and he's got this house that Pat's been to, and he built it.
Blew my mind.
And it's
they
like
shot Jaws in the driveway.
Yeah, no, they shot part of Jaws, the scene where
he's punching his nose through the
And I don't know if Ben Garner's head was that done at the Vera Miles.
Ben Garner's head was done about 8 minutes away at
Miles
at the editor's house. Vera Rick.
I can't remember the name.
Hang on, no, I do because I wrote that damn book. Hold on. They called her Mother Cutter.
Yeah. Edith Head.
No, Edith Head's a costume designer. Hold on. Verna Fields.
Verna Fields, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, but yeah, so it was fascinating, and he just a great guy. But yeah, Woodland Hills, it's nice. The only thing I don't like about that area when I went to Joe's house is driving up that weird
road.
Yeah.
Every time I went to Joe's, I made sure it was in the morning because can you imagine making that drive at night?
Oh man, no.
And importantly, this is something else.
Might need a tow truck after that.
Joe is in Woodland Hills, but he's about 6 minutes from downtown Tarzana.
Yeah.
And if you go to downtown Tarzana, there's a huge tree right in front of the mayor's office.
Okay.
The mayor's office, beautiful picture, Dan. The mayor's office was that was the home of Edgar Rice Burroughs, the creator of Tarzan. And when he died, they scattered his ashes at the base of that tree.
Wow.
It's when he would look out the window of that tree while he was writing Tarzan.
And became the city of Tarzana.
Yes.
That's the story.
Interesting.
Well, did they let people know after the fact so that they wouldn't get stopped from doing that?
I think so. So you're not practically scattering up.
Here's what I find very interesting. So Jeff's from L.A. I'm from San Diego. You're from Michigan.
I am.
She's from New Jersey.
I love that you're from New Jersey, by the way.
Really? Why?
Yeah. I've always been charmed by that. I mean, when Clerks put Jersey on the map, Maryland, of course, starred in Clerks and a bunch of other. What I love about Maryland is I love all her Sci-Fi Channel stuff, which you've also done the makeup on. It's just fun to see you in them.
Thank you. Thanks. I had a lot of fun doing them. It's like and thank you, Neil, for actually putting me in them.
But they're a blast. I mean, when you see yourself in an alien movie, I mean, don't you dig that?
I like sci-fi. But I pretty much like all genres. But there's something about sci-fi as far as acting in it that's just, I don't know. Put me in any sci-fi movie.
There you go. Yeah. What I think is cool, I mean, is you were John Sayles' country. I mean, when you think about Jersey, Sayles made some movies there, right?
I'm not quite that movie buff that knows these things like that. It's like most of the people who do their homework. Sorry to say.
But when you did Clerks, what did you expect from it? I mean, did you know it would become what it became?
No. And the one thing that I say to a lot of people is like, I don't think you can ever know, unless you're Marvel, to know what a movie is going to do. And it's like, for me, it was a matter of going a step above, because I came from a theater background, and that's where I kind of got started. And so it was the next level. It's like, oh, this kid, this is how it was brought up to us, is making a movie. It's like, hey, I'm going to try out for it. And it's like, I got cast. And so it was just being able to kind of work the other genre.
Now, were you really cast because you could cry on cue?
This is what I'm told.
Wow.
Now, I don't know. I wouldn't say exactly cry on cue. I have to have the feelings in order for it to come.
Did they tell you to create your own monologue and
No, this monologue was from a monologue book, actually.
Wow.
And it's something that spoke to me because it's something that I very much have felt most of my life. I'm a middle child.
Hey, as am I.
And so, very often you're not seen, heard, or anything like that.
You're not the heir, you're not the spare.
Marilyn in the
Yeah.
middle?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this was about a woman who felt like she was going through life not being seen or heard, and how certain feelings that she had. So that's basically.
How long a shoot was it?
I believe it was 28 days. Me personally, I was there for about 4 days, I think, 4 or 5 days, and not even consecutively. I think there were maybe 2 or 3 nights that were consecutive.
Wow.
It was a long time ago.
Did you know that? What did they tell? Did they tell you they were shooting in black and white, or from the get-go, or?
Yeah, they did, and it was because of the lighting. If they had certain types of lights, then they would have to shoot in film, in color film, they needed to have certain lights. And being that we had, these lovely fluorescent lights, that's why they went with the black and white.
Now that place they made that convenience store, was that it looked like a garage? It was just an empty building. You guys turned it into a store.
This is where Kevin actually worked.
No, oh my God, that was a real store.
This is where Kevin actually worked.
Because I thought I'm looking at prop placement and everything. I'm like, they turned this like auto garage into a store, and it was real.
It was real, and basically he was there filming all through the night, and then they had the editing equipment in the video store, so they were sleeping there as well, and then just going. So they basically made the video store and the convenience store their home.
Wow.
I was curious about that because I've talked to I know Candy Clark, and I talked to Candy Clark about when they were making American Graffiti, and when Eddie did Midnight Madness, and I got to ask you this: when you do all these night scenes, what's it like? Is it cool, or is it like? I mean, does it throw you off? I mean,
as far as
doing all your big work at night, and I don't know.
As far as like now, because it's like since I've been in LA and worked hair and makeup or acted and doing night shoots, it's like, they pretty much kind of work it around so that you're doing that. And that's all I was doing. But back then when I was doing Clerks, it's like I was working during the day.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So we all had our day jobs. So I didn't get much sleep for the times that I was there consecutively.
What job were you doing during the day?
I worked in a salon at that time.
Oh my God! So
Really?
you would be
Wow.
Your call times were what, like from?
6 at night to no,
Was
I'm
it
sorry,
6?
it wasn't 6 at night. We had to be there. I think it was more like 8 or 9. Do hair and makeup. Well, for me anyway. And then they start shooting. I don't know, anywhere.
I love the
11 o'clock.
contrast that it had on. I mean, did you do hair and makeup on the set?
No, not on there.
You didn't do
I
your
could
own?
have.
Did they was that your outfit that you chose?
We all wore our own outfits.
God, Dante's sweater was just the most hideous.
I saw that.
I love it. That's a collector item right there. That's an eBay item.
Well, that sweater for him, that was ruined pretty much because if you've seen the alternate ending.
Oh yes,
died.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it was pretty much ripped up and all that. So, yeah.
Did you like the alternate ending where I believe somebody robs him and he dies, right? He gets
Nobody
shot?
did.
Wow.
Nobody liked it.
Wow.
Well, the
So
one
we were all happy when it changed.
Yeah, well, the one I saw, I watched it twice. It was just when they were just laid out in the store and they left.
Yeah.
beating each other up, everything. I noticed that cigarettes were only $2.19 back then.
That was in 1994, right?
Yeah. Well, no, 93.
93.
Shot in 93, released in 94.
When you hose that cigarette guy down with that fire extinguisher, there's two different kind of fire extinguishers. One for the liquid, the one with the megaphone that sprays the mist, and that thing was for grease kitchen fires, right?
I don't know, but I didn't get to shoot it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. That's like they I wasn't seen shooting it. I wasn't even in the room when they shot it.
Did they use the reels?
They did. They did shoot it. It just wasn't me.
So was it like baking soda? What is it? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, they shot that right in those people's faces, man.
Honestly, it's like I said, I wasn't even in the room, so I don't know if they actually shot the fire extinguisher or not, or if it was baby powder, or I don't know. I mean, I would have loved to have actually shot that.
Yeah, I mean, well, this chick's badass, man.
They just came over to the video store where we were getting ready, and then told us, "All right, we're ready for you, Marilyn." And they told me, "It's like hop up on there."
Wow.
What was your best memory of the whole shoot? If you had
Great question.
All of it.
The whole thing.
All of
just
it. It really, yeah.
It's a long.
The dialogue was so good. It just felt like there was no script and was taking a camera and then filming a live situation, man. That's how good and believable the characters were, man.
Thank you. Thanks.
But no close-ups, all these wide shots. It was amazing.
Well, he was limited on film set, so he only had so much.
You work with what you got, and then
Nowadays, hey,
What town?
shoot away.
What town was that in?
Leonardo.
Leonardo, New Jersey.
Now, how close are you to Matawan?
Well, I lived in Sayreville at the time. Matawan, about 15, 20 minutes.
Now, do they have a plaque or anything for the shark attacks?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
The Benchley based Jaws and the shark attacks.
Probably not, and that's sad because I'm guessing real estate value. I don't know. No, I'm serious about this. Where I grew up in San Diego, about 15 miles away. Back in 1978, there was a horrible plane crash. It was a PSA.
Yeah, my brother just told me about that when we went through.
Oh my God, man!
Went downtown, right?
No, it was up an area called North Park. It wiped out two neighborhood blocks. I mean, it was 122 bodies scattered. It was hideous.
But you guys still built up the town right in front of the airport.
They built it. But when I asked them one time, it was on Dwight and Boundary Street over there. I said, I talked to a guy. I said, why isn't there a placard? He's like, yeah, the real estate. No one's going to buy a house here. No one. I mean, literally. And he wasn't trying to sound cold-blooded. He was just saying, like, when there was a tragic thing, he said, we could put it at a park or a public area, but you don't want to be like, oh, hey, yeah, see this house? Yeah, a fuselage was here one time. So it was really, what I find interesting about Michigan is my wife's from Michigan.
What part is she from?
Lansing.
Whoa, the state capital.
Yeah, Lansing and Jackson she lived. But
my parents honeymooned in Jackson, coming back.
I've never been there, but here's the funny thing.
Terrifying prison.
Have you been there, Michigan?
Different occasions, yes.
Okay.
Novi Comic Con. Did you go to Motor City Comic Con?
Once.
Novi.
Yes.
You've been to Novi.
Yeah, I think
it's like the armpit of Michigan.
But about a year and a half ago, I stopped in LA on my way to San Diego, and another Animal House alumni that I'm friends with is Martha Smith, the girl that played Babs. And
you used to get a discount, by the way. Up until the mid-'90s, if you asked for Babs when you were buying tickets to Universal, they would knock $10
She's a real estate agent now. And
still quite striking, by the way.
Yeah, I have pictures. No, but her husband's a musician. But anyway, she's from Michigan. And my wife and her are talking, so they're sitting right next to each other, my wife and her. And next thing I know, Marilyn, they're like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell's, and they're
This is your portable Michigan roadmap, man.
Yeah, and apparently Michigan people do this like
with the mitten.
UP and UP and
Upper
and
Peninsula, smartass.
Well, I don't know, man. And I'm like, what is this, palm reading stuff going on? But that's how you do, like, where you're from.
We're from the mitten. You're either up or down. And I'm
and they're talking euchre, the card game euchre, which I'd never learned to play it. I wanted one day.
And Verner's.
I've had Verner's.
Oh my God! And if it was vintage Verner's, your nose ran for like 10 minutes.
It's this ginger ale.
It's super powerful ginger ale. When you were sick, your mom would bust out. My mom was a nurse, and she would still bust out the Verner's. You know.
So it's not like the same thing as just taking regular ginger soda.
No, ginger soda. Where are you from?
But I feel bad though, because I met a lot of people from back east, and we're talking New Jersey, and I've never been back east, man. The farthest I've ever been east is Atlanta, Georgia, if you can count that,
Well, sure.
You've never been to Jersey City?
Every time I'm in Atlanta, I pretend I'm a lawyer in a bad John Grisham novel.
Yeah.
He always writes about.
I've been there. I was born in Wilmington, Delaware, but I didn't really.
Oh, were you?
I didn't
Okay.
spend much time there. I visited.
You grew up out here, though.
because my aunt worked at DuPont for like her whole life, and I would go back and visit. That's how I got familiar with my own town.
I had a very, very cool feeling driving down here. I just want to share with you guys. My mom, she went to school in Arcadia.
Wow.
That's where I went to school. I went to Arcadia High.
My mother, back in the from 1958 to 1961. This is how I. Oh, thanks, Dan. This is how.
Give it to our guest first. Don't take the guest drink.
Here you go.
Thank you.
A gentleman, by the way. See what that looks like? The man and the
Hey.
lady drink.
Shut up!
So
Kick your ass.
from 1958 to 61, my mom went to a school. It was in Anokia, and in Arcadia, and it was called Anokia, and it was on Lucky Baldwin's ranch.
Yes.
And this was a school that it was a girls' college preparatory school. And this was a school that if you were a kid from Beverly Hills High School and you got in trouble, you got sent there. My mom's roommate was Cecil B. DeMille's granddaughter, Diane DeMille, Ernie Kovac's daughter, Troy
That's what I
Donahue's
said.
sister,
the only one?
Edie Adams' kid. I mean, it was just
thank
all these people from back in those days. And that's where I learned kind of just what movies were like from my mom. She told these stories about, Ernie Kovac's and Troy Donahue's sister.
I got in trouble for riding my bike in elementary school
Hang on, the guy's got a story.
to the Anokia school. I rode up on the
Well,
property
it's
and they
tore
told me
down.
to get out of there.
It's torn down, and it's in some movie, I think, with Alicia Silverstone. It's,
Yeah,
she's-
yeah.
Clueless? Is it in Clueless?
I don't know if it's Clueless or the one. Which was the movie she did where she was obsessed with the guy or
Excessive baggage
Clueless.
or overnight delivery?
No. The one where she played a villain. Remember that?
Oh, no. I know the one. Carrie Hughes. I was at a test screening for that.
The guy was in Princess
Yeah,
Bride.
it was The Crush.
The Crush,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And I
The
think
Cru-
that was anyway. But you know the school I'm talking about.
Yes,
It's like
yeah.
Lucky Baldwin's Ranch, and she used to tell these stories. I never got to see it, but she went to Diane DeMille's wedding, and that's where she met Gloria Swanson. And she said it was just this awesome, experience to
Yeah.
hear. I love hearing those stories of the Hollywood in those days, and the filmmaking world in those days, and the studio system, and I know a few people like Carl and Jack that were alive in those days, but
But there were kids, too, at a certain point. I mean, you don't
they were
know
young.
history is unfolding before you when it unfolds before you.
Right, yeah.
Most like you talk about, she makes a film called Clerks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, did you
how
know? I'm
how did
obsessed
you
with people. Did they know? Did you know at that point that Clerks would be like one of the second coming of the indie film?
No, and the thing is, it's like it was just taking the steps. It's like, first we did this film. It's like great, and it's like we showed it at IFFM. It's like, oh wow, look, we seeing ourselves on the big screen, whether you like it or not. And
I hate
I mean,
how
it's looking at yourself,
Actresses always have to take a punch at themselves. I hate that about you guys.
and then all of a sudden it's like we get accepted to Sundance. It's like, oh wow, and so we experience Sundance, and then Miramax buys. So it's just all these.
Back when that was a
steps.
good thing.
Yeah.
Well, this was amazing times, man. It was before Fargo, before all that stuff. I mean, this was.
You don't know when a film will become a cult film.
The year after Jurassic Park.
I was introduced. I found out about Clerks through my nephew. Back in like 2000, he introduced me to the whole Kevin Smith thing, with Chasing Amy, and they're all connected. And
So was that your first one, Chasing Amy? That was your intro?
yeah, that one, and then Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and then he told. Then I went to Clerks and Clerks 2, and then I'm like, wow, man. How did I miss this? And he's like 32 years old, and this is back in 2000. We were in North Carolina, and he had them all on DVDs and VHS, and I'm all, this is some really cool shit.
Yeah,
right
I mean,
here,
all
man.
we could do was really ride the wave and
Wow.
see where it went.
Wow. Yeah, because there was no map for it. I mean, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it was a big summer. You would think there was like a wave of these indie movies, Gas, Food, Lodging, and everything else.
Did Pulp Fiction come out around that time?
Pulp Fiction came out,
It was just
90
before because
95,
when
90,
yeah,
that was 90,
Five, I think.
94. 94.
94,
No,
you're right.
it was
When did-
94.
when
But
was Clerks?
well, and here's the thing, and it's like I know that it was before Clerks actually came out because when we were doing promo shots, they had us do little vignettes of some of these independent movies that were making it big, and Pulp Fiction was one of them. The vampire one.
Vampire's Kiss.
Interview with the Vampire. right?
Interview with the
Yeah,
Vampire. Yeah,
yeah.
we did that, and I can't remember a couple of the other ones.
94 was Forrest
Yeah.
Gump came out that year. There was a lot of big films.
Well, not just, yeah, but when I was thinking about 94, out here it was totally different because it was the year of the Northridge earthquake.
Yes.
And half of California collapsed, you guys. The 405 collapsed. I mean, it was a bad year.
I remember that. I saw that on the news back east. I was getting ready for work
Candy
and
Clark.
saw this. So
Kenny Clark watching?
Kenny Clark is watching. Hi,
Kenny Clark, I interviewed you.
Hey, Kenny.
I interviewed Kenny Clark for Starburst magazine. Her stories are amazing. The only person in American Graffiti nominated for an Oscar.
I'm telling
oh
you.
wow.
And she also did one of Larry Cohen's more obscure movies. She's in Q, the Winged Serpent. It's this amazing movie she did where the leading man made up most of his own dialogue. Michael Moriarty. It's about a giant monster bird, but Michael Moriarty is like playing her boyfriend, but he's like playing the guitar. He's improvising. He's playing the piano in another scene. He improvises his whole
And
performance.
Jeannie's watching us, but here's Marilyn right here. This is
Yay!
Hi.
Hey, if you want to talk to Marilyn, you could call Chaotic Radio right
She says hi
now
back, Kenny.
Thank you.
and ask her a question.
what's the number
or
here?
two. It's
Radio
9.
voice, radio voice.
Welcome to Chaotic Radio. Call and join our guest. Call in and talk to our guest at 909-360-8330. That's 909-360-8330. Call in and speak to our guest.
Okay, so I have a
Now,
que-
why does 909 get a 0 and
Yeah, 360.
everyone gets an O?
You're all provincial on us.
You're like so off target.
I'm sorry. I'm going to radio school. I'm learning how to be a real DJ.
No,
So go ahead. No.
I was going to ask if you grew up. Did you actually grow up in San Diego?
I did.
Did you work on like all the Stu Seagal shows that were shooting out there?
Not
like
a one. No.
Pacific Blue and everything?
No. You know what's funny is I peaked my acting career at 9. I actually, this is a true story about me. I did a commercial. Does anybody remember RC Cola?
Oh yeah.
Of course.
I was in an RC Cola commercial. I was 5 years old. I grew up in Chula Vista, California. Down the street from me was a kid named Mario Lopez, who was a singer and a dancer, and ended up on a show called Saved by the Bell.
Oh no!
But back then he was doing a show called Kids Incorporated. That's
Oh God, I
We
remember
remember
that.
that
By the way,
too.
with Scotty Schwartz.
Yes,
That
with
started
Scotty. We were
Scotty
talking about
Schwartz.
Scotty and Fergie, of all people. Fergie
Oh,
was in.
yeah.
Yeah. So
My friend Brad did. Fergie played his little sister, Brad Kester, and I think you know him, don't you? He was the voice of Charlie Brown. Fergie played.
Hi, it's Candy.
Fergie played Sally or Lucy. I forget which.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. But with me, so what happened was, I was just a weird kid. I loved older movies. I'd watch movies, and we were talking about Chiller, the TV show.
yeah.
I would stay up late. I would sneak in, and watch these movies, late at night. And for a guy, when you're a little kid, you're not interested in. I mean, these movies that just predate you. But something about black and white films, I love black and white films because I heard Orson Welles, I think it was, or Peter Bogdanovich, one of the two, saying that even a bad acting thing could look good in black and white. No, I don't know, but anyway.
Well, that's like when you take a photograph and it's like, oh, it doesn't look so good. It's like, oh, let me turn it into black and white. Ah, yeah, there you go.
Everything-
Wow, it turns into art.
Yeah, everything looks
got a
good.
piece of art.
So I remember watching Sunset Boulevard on late night TV and things like that. But anyway, so I went to an acting school called Multimedia Arts and was in La Mesa, and there was a woman named Drew Scott that taught it, and I knew Heather O'Rourke. She was from Lakeside.
Poltergeist.
From
You can see her
Poltergeist.
grave out here in Westwood.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know her very well, but I remember her, and then I remember I'm drawing a blank, but she was in the Wonder Years. She was a brunette girl. She played
Danielle
Paul's
McKellar?
sister. I think
Denny.
Yeah,
Danny,
Mitchell.
That's how I remember her name.
Yeah, and so I did some extra work here and there, and the first film that I did it's funny that one of the first films I did was probably the weirdest film of a Disney movie. It was called The Devil and Max Devlin.
Wow.
I was in that movie, and it was
You're
Bill
the Devil and
Cosby.
Max
I
Devlin?
was Bill Cosby and Ellie Gould. You ever see it?
I
It will
don't
haunt
think
you
so.
forever. I was an extra. I was one of the daycare kids at Adam Rich's mother's, Susan.
Adam Rich from Eight Is Enough?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had 2 lines. It was the Extras Guild. And,
Oh, wait a minute. You have lines in The Devil and Max Devlin?
Yeah, when we were looking for, because he was invisible. Okay, real quick. It's about.
We've got a phone call.
Then we're going to go back to this
All
because
right.
that's the first movie which will happen again when Bill Cosby goes to hell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Who we got?
Hello, phone caller.
Speak. Hello, mysterious voice.
Hello. Talk to us.
Uh-oh.
What do we got, Dan?
Technical glitches.
Dan.
Well, welcome to Small Time Radio, kids.
Talk to me, Dan.
I think it
Where's our
happened.
phone caller?
I think you meant
It's running. It's running for 14 seconds. Now I can't hear you.
He's right there.
There it
Okay,
is.
there we go.
There.
Oh,
Hey,
Jeff East.
Jeff East.
Ah, Jeff East.
My clients.
Just want to call and say how much fun I had with you guys the other day, and now that Steve Joyner, my agent, is down here talking to you, I just wanted to tell him the lunch has been canceled. I'm going to become a rap star. I'm doing some rap.
Jeff East, you heard it here first, is becoming a rap star.
Oh boy, straight out of Nice, France. Jeff was in Pumpkinhead. He was in Superman. He played the teenage Clark Kent that raced the train. And
I'm
jumped
such a face person.
He's from
that
up. He's from
names,
up
it's
the
like-
creek.
up the creek.
I
You
love
know
Up
if you
the
saw him.
Creek.
Yeah, I'm sure I would.
We had a picture of him hanging there, but I think Jeff took it.
He brought
Oh,
you
it's
a
not
picture?
that one?
No.
Did he bring?
They said they're
Oh,
looking for the
Is he still
mysterious-
Jeff? Are you still there?
Jeff, how are you?
No, he just hung up.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know.
Okay. that
Anyway,
was
so yeah, so basically, yeah, I'm in Burbank. It was only like a week
Now,
shoot.
now I think he's calling back.
there we go. Okay.
I want to hear the end of that story.
I'm surprised you've seen that though, dude.
Sorry
Jeff.
about that.
It's an
Hold on
amazing
one
movie.
second.
Nobody knew. That's when Disney was bombing. They couldn't figure out.
Oh, I gotta
what-
tell Marilyn, she'll get a kick out of this whole thing because it was really.
I saw my little brother. We saw it at
Oh.
the Maine in Detroit.
Marvin Hamlish did the music and
And
Julie Budd, man, it was. I'll tell you.
There he goes. Jeff East, are you there? Jeff.
come into the light, Caroline.
No, he's gone again. I
He
don't
must be
know
on his
why.
cell phone.
I meant a few
Yeah.
words.
Must be on that cell phone that can't get serviced.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
That's a woman's voice.
That's a woman's voice.
Oh, wait a second.
That's a commercial.
You
What
moron.
the hell?
What do you have your laptop plugged
I
in?
thought I
And
turned
the
the
phone
sound
on
off.
mute?
Wow.
Let me find
John,
it.
I want to hear the end of this amazing story,
So-
Steve. Go for it.
All right, so basically,
Yeah, none of us here are engineers, so just bear with us.
it finally made it on DVD a few years ago. If I get a copy, I'll.
It took a long time to come out because
Yeah.
he goes to hell. The trick
Yeah,
of the movie
this
is Bill
is-
Cosby
this
goes
is-
to hell.
No, Ellie Gould.
Oh, that's right. That's
The
right.
story is Ellie Gould plays a slumlord who gets hit by a busload of Hare Krishnas and goes to hell.
Yeah.
He meets Bill Cosby, who's the devil's lawyer. Barney Satin is his name. And he restores him to Earth under the condition that he corrupts the souls of 3 young children in exchange for
This is a Disney movie. This is a Disney movie.
1981. The 70s aren't completely over. He's still got a lot of 70s. And so he's got Adam Rich, who he's courts his mom and tries to get his little soul. And he gets Julie Budd, who is just like Barbara Streisand. I mean, the look. And the funny thing was, Ellie was married to Barbara Streisand, so a little wondered if that was. And
It might have been,
And then
yeah.
Nerve, the motorcycle guy. So I played one of the daycare kids, and I had like a couple lines in the film, and it was fun because that was the first time. I don't know, when you first went on a set. When I was like 6, it's like this is just unreal. It's like this world of
It's amazing. Yeah.
fantasy and these big. I'm like, what is? It was great and it was fun and. And people were like, "What was Bill Cosby like?" I said, I had one conversation with the guy. I remember he was
He
smoking.
said, "Here, drink this."
Yeah. I woke up. I'm not going. But I mean, I remember the hardest part for an actor that when you're child actors and children actors are the best, because they make believe. I have a 13-year-old that could tell you anything and you'd believe it.
Wow.
But the hardest part really was trying to, because Elliot would talk to Bill. And Bill was a goat. No one else could see him. So they'd be like, "Don't look at Mr. Cosby." So we were like talking to Elliot. It's like I'm talking to you, but he's right there. And so to have to pretend like he's not there. I know there's a lot of jokes. But the movie bombed. I think it was out for maybe, dude, I don't even know how long.
It was a huge,
in and out.
Everything that year, it was 1981 was considered one of the worst years for movies. It was the one year. I think that summer, #1 movie that year was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Chariots of Fire came out that year and things like that.
But that came out like March. It was Oscar bait. Whereas Stripes and everything else, Stripes was a big hit. But everything.
You know what was really weird about the whole thing, and I don't know why it sticks in my head to this day, but when my mother, she drove me to the set, and we'd be going through Burbank, and I remember listening to the radio back when people would be driving and you only had a couple of AM, FM,
Right.
And I remember they were talking about John Holmes and the Wonderland murders. During that time, dude.
Holmes opened the door. Basically, they couldn't get him to prove it. Holmes opened the door.
But it was breaking news. I remember it said news out of Southland. There's been a killing, and it's like, what? And it just kind of gave you the chills. It was before anybody knew what was going on. So.
If you watch Boogie Nights, if you've seen Paul Thomas Anderson's
I've seen
Nights.
that, and what was the one they made about? Oh, geez. Wonderland. They made it with Val Kilmer.
Yeah, that one was
Boogie
too on
Nights
the
was
nose.
so great, though. Man.
Boogie, well, the part where he's going to rob Dr. Octopus's house.
That's basically...
That's the Wonderland murders. That was him referencing it. Because they said Holmes went over there with probably the intention of robbing them and getting out of there. And then they decided there are too many witnesses and they murdered them with a hammer.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
anyway, let's not get minerals. But yeah, that's just a memory I remember of that. But I want to...
It's a sunshine day.
It is a sunshine. Huh?
What's interesting is that you did Devlin, Max Devlin. I want to say Angus Scrimm from Phantasm played the devil, and I think Raging Nalder from Salem's Lot was in it as well.
Yeah, he was, because when they go to hell, and this
Hell is great.
This is a Disney movie.
Yeah, it's
there's
like
people smoking cigarettes and all that.
Cursing.
And
God
like-
forbid you should smoke in a movie now.
No, now it's like, and but when he goes back to the diner and there's a dude smoking a cigarette, he's like, yeah, Bill, he's like, he's right there. He's like, they can't see me, And, I mean, it was okay, but it was just.
It's kind of a cool movie. It'll run
It's
on
worth
Disney.
a watch.
They did Condor Man, which was based on a Robert Sheckley
love that
novel.
movie.
I mean, it was based on a Robert Sheckley novel, short story. And I mean, for them to do Sheckley as a
got a color.
Disney movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think, and really, it was a lot of humor. And I remember when he goes to hell, he's all, no, this is Los Angeles. So
How was Elliot Gould? Because he was supposed to be in a bad phase.
nicest guy.
Wow.
Nicest guy in the world.
And SAG
I remember
meetings,
we had a scene where we're swimming with him, and he wouldn't take his T-shirt off.
Really?
He's like a big bear. He was all hairy and stuff, and he was self-conscious. No, he's self-conscious of. But
I got it, Dan. I clicked in.
my brother, just to be a jerk, 2 days before
Hello?
I met Elliot, showed me Bob Carrollton.
Something else. Mystery voice, speak to us.
Jeff?
Is it Jeff?
It's Jeff East again.
Is that his number, right?
I muted myself. I'm sorry. No, he should be booked. Went through.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah,
Aha!
There he is.
I'm here. Yo,
Hey,
boy.
hey, Jeff.
Edmund Lovely, Maryland.
Big D. We're Steve and Jeff and
I'm here.
We're
I'm
right here,
yeah.
man. We're right
We can
here.
hear you.
Say hi to Marilyn.
they probably don't want to talk to me.
No, I'm right
Jeff.
here.
It's
I'm
like-
right here, Jeff.
But it's a little difficult to hear you.
Yeah, turn up the phone volume.
Louder,
a little
louder.
bit.
It's up all the way, my brother.
Jeff, I can hear you.
Can you hear it now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Wait, that's Verizon.
Oh, wow. Very quick.
I think it's Sprint.
No, yeah, it is.
I think it's Sprint. Get a new phone.
Jeff, do you remember Marilyn? Clerks 1 and 2? Do you remember that movie?
I was only in one.
She's in the.
I that was my mistake. I'm sorry,
good
man.
promo.
I would,
Yes, dig that knife in a little bit deeper.
Hold on, Jeff. What, Jeff?
Marilyn, we love you.
Jeff, you there?
Dan, can they hear me?
I can hear you, Jeff. I can hear Jeff.
I can hear him.
I hear him.
Jeff, speak to us.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
You're on the air.
I'm here.
Yo, Jeff, what, cat got your tongue?
Do you got a question?
No, I'm talking to you.
Oh.
Well, talk. Put your mouth closer to your phone. You're such a low volume right now. I got my.
Should I call back on another line?
I got you cranked up all the way.
I can hear
here.
him fine. Can you hear him?
Yeah, but it's just at a distance.
Yeah, you got to get rid of that football phone you got from Time Magazine from 30 years ago.
Oh man.
Oh, Lord.
I can hear Jeff perfectly.
I can hear him fine too.
Well, why is it with Marilyn and Pat and myself?
Questions for the boys.
Please.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Question for the boys.
Go ahead.
Hey, it's Jeff Beast.
Yeah, we hear you, Jeff.
Jeff.
Jack. It's Jack. How you doing, man? I'm coming out of retirement. I wanted to talk to my agent. I got a golf game match coming up here. I was in the locker room taking a shit, and I thought I'd call my agent.
That's a great story.
My agent available?
I'm here.
He's right in front of me.
Jeff's wild. Do you remember? Can you hear him?
Are you guys going live with this thing?
We're live right now.
Hello.
In stereo. And then so Marilyn, though, I saw an interview. I saw an interview she did with Florida.
Is that him?
No, East EAST.
Oh.
Yes,
No,
Okay.
right away, Marilyn.
we're showing Marilyn giggling out of your picture.
Him?
Yeah, he was. Remember Superman? He was a teenager.
He was
Oh,
he
sure,
was
sure.
he was young Clark
He's John Clark.
out
He's-
running the train. Remember that scene?
Just done everything. He was Huck Finn.
Okay, vaguely.
Well,
vaguely.
he was in Pumpkinhead, and I know you were talking about horror movies.
I freaking love Pumpkinhead.
Did you like that movie at all, or did you see it?
I don't know if I saw Pumpkinhead.
Oh, it was great. It really was.
Lance Henriksen.
Lance, yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I've worked with Lance, not directly, but
Oh,
Yeah.
indirectly.
What'd you work with him on?
Lake Erie.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I did get to meet him though when we did our little premiere. Well, it wasn't a premiere; it was our after party, like months later, at the. Oh my gosh!
Oh, downtown.
No, it was actually at the before they closed it off. Where they do music on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, yeah, we can hear. Oh, you did it at the Palladium.
Not the Palladium,
He's
no.
on. I can hear him.
We can hear you, Jeff.
Go ahead.
But anyway, we had an after party there, and so that's when I got to meet him. Nice guy, very nice guy.
Wow, that's
So
cool.
I want to ask you a couple questions, if I may, because I was supposed to co-host, and
No, please,
I'm
you
so
are.
glad to see you, though.
I'm so happy to meet you.
I thought to myself driving down here, I said, you know what? I want to meet Patrick, and I don't know when I will now. I really was like, I was like, man,
Today was your day, my
I know this
brother.
guy, so
Today.
today worked out. Anyway, as an actress, an artist, let me ask you something. How did you feel like, I asked this to a lot of people, was it after Clerks that your anonymity was kind of just gone and people would stop you and start, or when it went, I mean, a lot of people, they
I
have
actually-
a hard, like,
I'm one of those lucky ones where it's like I still have my anonymity for the most part.
oh, you didn't tell me some Comic-Con kid's not going to come up and like,
Well, but at
Recite it.
Comic-Con, that's a whole different thing.
I've
know,
seen
that's
you
like-
at
that's-
Comic-Con, Marilyn. You get a line, man.
At a convention, that's a different animal, you know, because it's like people are there to see me. So I'm going to get a little bit more recognized there. I mean, when people actually started remembering my name and saying my name, that was like, oh, wow, they actually know my name. But yeah, I mean, just after Clerks, people, it's funny because people would stare at me. And when I first moved to LA, I would have people kind of staring at me, and at one time I was at the mall at Beverly Center with a friend of mine, and finally I just kind of said to her, it's like, is there something hanging out that I should be concerned about? Because why are people staring at me? And she's like, Marilyn, maybe they recognize you? I was like,
Wow.
oh.
Okay, he's
Look,
still
it's
on.
Veronica from Clerks.
He's still on the line.
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff, are you there?
Jeff.
I can hear him.
I can
That's.
hear.
It doesn't seem like. Are you sure it's him and not somebody?
I don't know.
Jeffy, he just messaged me a messenger saying, "Hi." He just, I don't know. We're getting off track.
It's getting a little
He can
crazy.
fly over here like in 5 seconds.
Yeah, come on, Superboy.
So I wanted to know, but I wanted to ask you about that because really, I never got to that point. But what's funny is I know a good number of people that do autograph shows, Hollywood show, Comic Cons, etc. And when you go to the Hollywood show like we went, it's almost like it's so and so. I just saw them the other day, But when Stan Livingston, a dear friend of mine, when I asked him, I said, "What do you like the best?" He said he enjoys going to the ones like in the Midwest and all that because he says, "You know what? Those people." It's like a big thing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, here
We're jaded. I mean, this is the honest truth.
we're not being, but it's like, here it's like we don't get
Yeah,
starstruck.
here,
There,
right. Yeah, exactly. I don't do very many LA shows because they're not very successful in any way. There's not many
ask
people
me and
come.
Jeff. We were at the last one.
I mean, the one that I definitely do, or the two I should say, is WonderCon and
Good call, yeah.
Stan Lee's.
Where's WonderCon out of?
WonderCon is actually held in Orange County now.
Right. They brought it up here for a couple
Anaheim
times, but
Convention
but it's in Anaheim, but it's still LA.
It's a great show. I mean,
Yeah.
It used to be in the
and
Bay
obviously
Area.
San Diego, but
All right, Jeff, line one.
but yeah, I those are the only ones. I've done a couple of other ones and they've been like a bust.
That's
Complete
heartbreaking.
Have you done any in like Nebraska or Kansas or any of those type of places? I know Florida. I saw you on the one. in
Yeah,
Florida.
it's like I've been brought out for some East Coast shows.
Is it fun to get to see the town? I mean, even the convention stinks.
If we get to,
Yeah.
we honestly, it's like we very rarely get to go out and see
That's what
any
I
of the
hear.
place that
You're
we go to.
there,
It's like,
man,
yeah,
from
we
open
get
to close.
most of the time we get flown in the day of.
Wow.
So then you've got the convention to do, and it's like you might have a couple of hours after the convention, and then they fly you out after the convention on either Sunday or you leave Monday morning early. Because it's East Coast, it's like I try to get out the night before and do the red eye, which is cheaper for them. I'm looking out for their dollar.
Wow. But I would love them to put you up for a couple of days so you can at least see
Would be
Michigan
nice.
or
It would be
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, no, I mean that would be good for the town alone because I really I don't know if you can hear me okay, but I really this is my first and only Hollywood show that I went to when me and Jeff were there with Eddie, and I realized something. I'm sitting there all day with Eddie Dees, and and I'm his assistant basically taking pictures. It was fun, but I thought to myself, you know what? This is kind of like, I mean, and
They were
You have to
charging
enjoy
people.
they were charging people bad for a lot of. I mean,
the actors
What do you
for their
think they who?
percentage of their.
the organizers,
show
not
people,
not
yeah.
the talent. Like I don't want to say his name, but a friend of mine who knows another friend of mine, Carl's friend. Who was in the committee with him, I went up and said, "Oh, hey, we know each other, all that." And I'm like, "You want to do a picture together?" He's like, "Oh, you got to talk to this guy." And here's this little weed. Oh, it's $25.
Yeah. And he's not there because he's a friend of that guy. He's there because he's a snitch for the convention.
Exactly.
He's there to make sure Maryland.
Right, yeah. Well, because some of those people probably have guarantees to be there. And so
Yeah.
in order to make sure that the convention isn't out of pocket, they want to make sure that they meet their guarantees with the people going there so that they're not out of pocket.
I understand that, but I mean, it was, but then with like Nancy Allen and Tim Matheson, I took a picture with them. They're right by Eddie. It was like a 1941 reunion. They were in that film together, and they charged me. Yeah, let's take a picture, But some people, they were just like the rules, like it was like 50. Lou Diamond Phillips. I mean, it was a lot. I wanted to take, I liked him, but it's like I'm not going to spend $50 to do a selfie with
That
him.
was the biggest draw. You got him and Barbara Eden.
Yeah.
With the lines going out the door.
Barbara Eden's been there before. Now, I have done the Hollywood show, but it's been quite a while when they used to be in Burbank, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was we were
Yeah,
just talking about
You can't
that.
tell that story in the air, but there's a story there.
But it's really, for me it was great, but I don't want to sound so horrible, but let's just say I won't say their names. There were a couple talent people that were signing autographs. I was amazed they were alive.
That first one of those, I saw Butch from the Little Rascals gumming a piece of pizza. And it's like, oh no.
But yeah,
Hey,
You
you're
know,
talking little rascals. You're talking little rascals. That's like, oh my God, so long ago.
Kyle Rose.
The fact that there's anybody still alive.
That era is mostly gone.
Yeah.
It's funny how Roach outlived most of those kids.
He lived to 101, but remember, he wasn't being screwed like he was screwing those kids.
Oh
you know what
God, he really those kids got no residuals.
Oh yeah, no. There's a lot of shows that we grew up with that don't
I mean?
get residuals.
Everything before 1972.
And by the way, I don't either. People think that it was a totally independent film. There was no union attached to it or anything like that.
But every time they put that thing out, it's like Night of the Living Dead. There have been so many versions of Clerks.
There's only 2-3 people that get paid when Clerks is on, and that's Miramax and
Of course.
and Kevin.
Well, did anybody? This is I'm gonna admit this on the air. I've never fully seen Napoleon Dynamite, but I heard that the guy that played the redheaded kid that played the character,
Jared.
got
John Hitter.
$1,000, and that's all he ever made off the movie.
Well,
and it became
and
this
that's kind of like our situation.
Clerks, yeah, same.
Yeah. I
And-
mean,
and the
it wasn't 1,000, but no, actually, wait a minute. Could have been for me. I can't remember.
Wow.
No, but when
Yeah.
you think of how it's played, because I've met a lot of people before I saw Clerks. I remember I had a friend who in San Diego, and he would go to the Comic Cons all the time. The time, but he would mostly go there for Transformer shit like that. But anyway, he worked at an AMPM. but he that movie was just so relevant to him, and I mean he really loved it. But the thing is that. I think the audience demographic. What was it like? 20-year-old. I mean, what they would call millennials now. I guess it became just so. I don't know. I love the dialogue. The
dialogue.
great,
I mean,
man.
the whole thing about the Empire, the whole thing about the Death Star and independent contractors. It made pop culture references. It was fun for an indie. It was fun. You know,
What made you think? You had
Yeah.
to listen to their. all
For
of
us,
that.
it was Generation X.
Yes.
Yeah,
By the way,
Gen X.
Douglas Coupland, very
So
good.
it's probably
Yeah.
the same for Napoleon Dynamite, maybe, or Generation
I
Y.
think Y
Because
was-
Y is the one that
It's
came
a-
up after ours.
It's a softer, gentler, unlike Clerks, which is really edgy and interesting. Napoleon Dynamite's charming and sweet, but it doesn't really have an edge. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's fun.
yeah.
I just remember her kicking the crap out of that guy on the floor. I mean,
What was in that
do you want-
purse?
do
A
you
lead
want-
weight? Or
he was not getting
From
off
what
that
I can
floor.
remember, that purse was empty, and basically Brian and I kind of set it up. It's like he had, those military boots on, so
Yeah.
he positioned his foot so that what I was kicking was the bottom of the boot.
Really interesting.
Hey, it looked like
Film
it.
magic, film magic.
Yeah, the only time I paid a celebrity to take a picture with was Dan Haggerty from Grizzly Adams.
Dan Haggerty used to come out
Yes,
with the Michigan
and
Auto Show.
it was right before he passed. And he was at Corey Miller's tattoo shop.
I remember.
No, wait a minute. You met him on the street and he charged you to take a picture with him?
No, he was he was in the art studio.
They had a little autograph show. They had a little autograph show that day. That's when I met the girl from Old Yeller. Remember?
Yeah, she was
I
there
interviewed
too.
her. Yeah, she was on Star Trek and she's in Spider Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
What's her
Corey
name?
got some good people there, but Dan Haggerty was such a nice guy. I'm like, I took a picture with you. You gave me an autograph picture. What, I feel like I owe you something. He goes, just give me $5. And I'm like, okay, here you go. I'll take that.
But okay, so I want to ask Marilyn a couple of things. So, I always ask this. I actually hosted my own show for like a month, but then I
You're
found
good though.
No, I'm good at booking people. I'm very nervous.
You
right
got a
now,
great
so I'm
voice.
like-
But,
You're handsome
but
dude.
curiosity, your own curiosity makes you a good interviewer.
yeah.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I mean my own, but usually I don't want to ask the standard questions, But I feel like Chris Farley, when he's
Oh,
interviewing
no,
Paul.
no, not
So,
no.
but
You
I
remember
always-
when?
Yeah, I remember when.
Oh, my
no.
God. I did that in high school with Ray Bradbury.
Now, before you got into the craft and all that, and became an actor, who were the people you looked up to? What women or actors?
actually.
Yeah, I mean, who were you? You a Natalie Wood girl? Were you, I mean, who'd you like?
Gosh.
No, Molly Ringwald, I'm guessing.
Well, for me, it's like I watched the popular movies and I enjoyed watching those people in those popular movies. I loved the Danny Kaye movies, the singing and the dancing and all that kind of stuff. I didn't really have anybody in particular that I looked up to that I wanted to emulate or anything like that. It's like I just looked at it all as a whole.
Who did you have a favorite or
I know, and here's the thing. It's like I always say this. It's like I don't like having a favorite because I don't like having to pick one of anything.
Yeah.
Be it food, be it a place to go to. I mean, I just don't.
Is that a Jersey thing or just
No,
a
that's
Maryland
me.
thing?
That's me.
But did you do a lot when you're doing theater? Did you do musicals? A lot of musicals? Or
No,
anything?
I'm not a singer.
You're not a musical.
It's like I've done a show where I had a couple of lines of a song that I had to do, and so I practiced those lines to make sure that. And yes, I fooled a lot of people because I had a friend that was in the audience sitting next to somebody. He's like, "Oh, she's got a great voice." I'm like, "Fooled ya," but I can sing, but I can't sing.
I interviewed Barry Pearl, and I'm friends with Barry from Greece. He played Duty, one of the T-Birds, and we did a video interview and long time about last March. And did you know, I forget her name, but the girl that played Marty, the pink lady, the one that was flirting with Vince Vaughn. Anyway, she couldn't sing at all. She's the only one that couldn't sing. And if you watch Grease, she doesn't sing.
I remember something to that effect.
She doesn't sing at all. Everybody else sang, but she didn't. But they put her in there. But with theater though, what plays were you doing back then?
I did a lot of Neil Simon.
Okay.
It's like whatever the community theater was doing, but it's like, and usually they did a lot of Neil Simon because it was guaranteed that they bring audiences in.
Did you ever do The Goodbye Girl?
No.
Oh, that was a good Neil Simon.
Did you ever have the New Jersey hairdo, the big hair?
She works in a salon.
Personally, I didn't think it was all that big because I didn't like hairspray.
Defensive.
No, I didn't like hairspray. I still don't like hairspray. So I mean, I would do it a certain way, and to some people it seemed big, but no, I wasn't as big as some other friends that I had with the big hair.
Wow. Because you look at stuff like Married with the Mob, where they play up the whole Jersey attitude, and the big hair,
It's funny though, because people, I mean, you think that, and I had a friend who was in New Jersey, and he sounded like me when he spoke. He didn't sound like, no accent.
Yeah,
nothing.
when I moved out here.
Like, are you from there?
When I moved out here, people, and they would ask me, it's like, where are you from? And I say, we're in New Jersey, and they're like, I don't hear the accent.
No, not at all.
But it comes out
when you're mad?
Occasionally, when I'm mad,
Super.
when I'm tired, when I'm tired, when I do it on purpose.
Yeah, my wife is from Chicago.
Oh boy.
And she's half Italian, and the Chicago accent comes out once in a while.
I've never seen her mad.
What are you freaking?
I don't want to
kidding
see
me?
her mad.
What are you, jack off? Come on now,
No,
get to work.
It's funny. It's not like I
Clean the
ever
house.
heard it myself, and but I would get on the phone with my daughter or my sister or just any family relative or anybody in Jersey, and I was like, oh my God, it's like. I never realized until
you move away.
Until I move away. Yeah.
How old was your daughter when she saw Clerks, and what was her attitude on it? Because there's mom, and
I moved out here when she was about 15. She did not come with me. It's like I actually gave her the choice. It's like
she skipped on Southern California.
Well, 15-year-old. Okay, friends.
Wow.
Friends.
Friends are, more than.
I'm not going to move away from all my friends, mother.
So I think she was about 16, 17.
Wow.
Probably 16, maybe. Yeah.
Fascinating.
I don't remember what her reaction was.
That's like, to me, a beer is a beer. To my wife, it's a bear.
I have certain words that are very difficult for me to say. Drawer is one.
Drawer, gotcha.
Yard.
Yard.
Yard. How's yard?
Yard.
Yard. Okay.
Iron.
No, drawer is like the biggest one. It's like, yeah.
Hey, Pat and Amity would call it yard.
I was also thinking,
You say ball, I say balls.
if you ever go through Pittsburgh, they used to say Arn. I work in Arn, and I drink Arn City beer. Arn was Iron City beer, but in Pittsburgh they call it Arn. Arn Man. Give me one for Arn Man too. And it was they would take iron and break it into ARN. And in Michigan accent, we have this terrible.
Do you guys have one up there?
Oh yeah.
Is it like it's not like Minnesota though, right? Or,
No, it's more like
Minnesota?
it's more like Minnesota's charming. Michigan accents are kind of flat. It's like if you want a cap in Michigan,
Yeah.
cap. I've been rabbed.
I love doing accents.
Really?
I'm not
Yeah,
always that
cap
good at it, but I
is
love
cap.
doing them.
So if you're in the suburbs of Michigan, you say cap, and if you've been robbed, it's rabbed. R-A-B-B. You have a
Rabbed.
big loud A. The A goes on everything.
There's two accents I'm gonna just say I don't really care for: the South and Boston. I could do without.
I can't.
I love,
Yeah.
I
Have you ever
love doing
seen-
a southern accent.
Yeah, I mean,
And I've
it
done
depends. No,
southern
it
accents
like
for
you.
shows.
That's good. Hot. Keep it up.
You're my kind of country girl, Marilyn.
No, yours is
Wow.
good. I should take that back. Hers is great, but I'm saying for the most part, I'm not a big fan of the oaky. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's, I mean, hers is cool.
That one's kinda
But
hot.
you know, maybe mine is not very authentic.
Yeah, it sure
But
is
it's more
cute,
like
though.
Jason Manning type.
The New England one, the
Yeah,
Bostonians.
it's funny when I have my friends from Australia come up and visit.
Oh man.
They say like, "Dude, you talk so slow. You got such an American accent." I go, Americans don't have accents. I don't have an accent. You guys have the accent. They're like,
Yeah.
"No, you have an American accent." I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
You know
"You
what's
talk slow." I'm like, "No, I don't know. Maybe I do. I don't know." To
Maybe it
them.
was the coma.
Yeah.
What I find very interesting, though, is because having been just in Australia in March and April, Australia is actually quite a bit bigger than the states are, and we have
it's huge.
so many diversified accents here in the Americas. But over there, it's pretty much the same across the board from the East Coast to the West Coast, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. I didn't notice much of anything unless they're from New Zealand. New Zealand has a slightly
Great
different.
accent. I met an Australian stunt woman was telling me the difference. I was really excited about the Mad Max movies.
Yeah.
And I guess that was the hillbilly part of Australia, Broken Hill.
Uh-huh.
And she goes, "Oh, that's farm country." Very dismissive. It's like the
yeah.
greatest Australian movies ever made are in farm country.
Well, I guess that's the equivalent of Cockney and
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
the-
proper English.
in
The-
English, yeah.
The owner of our station can do a London accent, where he's from, and then he
That
does a
explains all this
Manchester
British stuff,
accent,
Yeah, exactly.
which is different from a London accent, which I don't get, but when he does it, it's very funny. And then he does a Newcastle accent that is
Calls
different.
the Newcastle. I had an editor in
Yeah,
Newcastle.
I mean, it's the dialects. It's
And
still an English
London's so
accent.
small, I mean, and they have all these different dialects and the way they
You drive
talk.
5 miles down the road and it's a different dialect accent.
Yeah.
I started writing for English magazines when I was in college. And they would call at 5 a.m. thinking it was already breakfast time in America. It's like, what the hell? You don't call at 5 a.m. unless somebody's dead.
Oh, gosh. And that's
Or
that's a
in
different
jail.
country. It's like I get people from the family from the East Coast calling me at like waking me up at 6, and they're like, "Oh, I forgot. It's a 3-hour difference." I'm like, "How can you forget? How can you possibly forget?"
So what? Go ahead. No, you're
No, after you, sir.
Oh, I was gonna say, today up to date. What's been your most challenging role?
Yeah, actually.
I always like asking
I
that.
wish I asked her that.
Pat told me to ask that.
Can I?
Don't try to
I
help
gotta
me.
look at my IMDb.
Well, I want to say right now,
No, like one.
Marilyn, what's it like working with a couple of my friends here?
Wait,
You got
let her answer the
Dee
question.
Wallace, we got Kane Hodder, we got Tyler Main, and Dee Wallace plays Witchula.
Well, we
That's
have
in post-production,
No,
right?
no, it hasn't been
no.
made
We
yet.
haven't even gotten into
No,
production
it
on
hasn't
that.
been made yet.
Oh, that's pretty.
So no, I've not worked with them before. I've met Kane Hodder at a convention back east, but I've not gotten to work with
Is he
him
as
yet.
big as you? Is he tall as you?
No, Kane's like 6'2". I'm taller than King.
Oh, he could drop.
And you know, it's like going to that question before
Yeah.
I even get to my IMDb here to remember what have I done.
I got you
Um,
right here.
No, I know it's probably
I'm
difficult.
going to have to say that the most challenging film that I've done
Yeah.
was a short film, horror film, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
And this is because it's like while I was doing it, this came to my thought. Horror film is very difficult to do
Why is that?
because if you don't do it right, it comes off so bad.
Hi, George.
And it can come off so cheesy as well. I mean, and so you have to kind of make it real for yourself so that it doesn't do that. I mean, and I say the same thing for comedy, but comedy is just, I don't know, for me it's easy. I don't know why.
Hi, George Lazenby. George Lazenby's watching.
Wow, James Bond is in the
James
house.
Anyway, so horror for you, it was it the contrast of going from comedy to that, or was
Well,
it just...
because it's like, okay, here it is. It's like you got to act scared all of a sudden for something that you know is not in front of you. Really, it's like you have to make believe that there's something after you or killing
Yeah,
you
yeah,
or
yeah.
you know. And so, again, if you don't make that believable enough for yourself, it can be really bad.
Sure, sure.
Okay, so you have to. So and then it shows on. It shows.
Stupid computer.
Smash it with a rock. I'm so sorry, you guys.
that was most challenging, and then my other question to this is you know, and it's just tough, and I mean you may not be able to answer this one, but what's been your most like man? I mean, was it Clerks, or what's been your most? You look back and like, I just enjoyed every minute of every you know.
You know what? I this comes down to the whole favorite thing.
or just like good memories. 'Cause I
No,
love
see,
hearing
because-
people's stories.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
no,
too.
for me, it's like they all have something that I just enjoyed doing, you know, and whether I was in front of the camera or behind the camera, it was just being on set, just the whole experience of being on set, and that just the make believe of it all, and being able to create characters.
That's what the cool thing. You're an actor. I mean, I haven't done it in years, but it is fun, man. It's like you enter another world and you get to be another person. It's
well,
cool.
and that's the thing. I mean, especially when you know you grow up and everybody has shitty moments in their lives. Can I say that?
We're not governed by
You're
censorship.
chaotic
You
radio,
know,
baby. You're free.
So it's an escape to some degree of being able to create something that you know you didn't have in your life, and that maybe good, maybe bad. I don't know, but it's like I know for me, whenever I'm reading a script, some kind of memory will click in my head, and whether it's exactly the same or not, I still whatever it reminded me of, that's what I use to
The sense memory.
to create more of that character and create the experience for myself to come from a real moment.
That's what I like about doing this radio show. It's creating theater of the mind. You know, I kind of get escape from my world for just a couple hours a day.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's great. I mean, I love chaotic radio. I'm loyal to it, although I get my balls busted all the time. Jeff knows that firsthand. No, we're troublemakers here. So, but no, I've loved radio since Loman and Barkley on KFI and Ken and Bob on KABC. I mean, I go way back in the radio days.
That's too funny.
And for me, I fell on the radio by complete accident just 2 years ago. It wasn't even like I used to not like radio except for music because I didn't care for the Rush Limbaughs and all that.
Oh, I love talk radio.
But you know we're losing one of LA's greatest stations today, 100.3 The Sound.
Yes, I
Dead
heard
at,
that.
dead at 1 p.m.
Oh,
It
man.
becomes a Christian rock station.
There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I used to listen to 10 at 10 at night while I was working, you know, running away. I mean, the 10 at 10, man, they'd pick a
I know.
year and play nothing but songs from that year.
Oh, and but yeah,
No, the sound is a great station. I love listening to it with my windows down and driving by the high school and looking at the girls.
That's the third time that guy in the windowless van has driven around the school.
Maybe that's why the sound's going off the air because of me.
And there's still a station in San Diego. It's called KGB FM, and it's still going, man. It was before I was born.
But you know what I love about them? What I love about that station, I know that station from every summer. It plays in our room all through Comic-Con.
Yeah.
You know, and what happened, this is when Comic-Con, I started Comic-Con in like the 90s, going to Comic-Con. I didn't start it. No, but you'd go. And that station, we listened to the classic rock station when we came in. And it used to be, all right, everybody, get clothespins for your nose. The nerds are in town, you know. And
yeah, they would rag on that. Yeah, but then it became hip to be, you know, that's the thing. You know?
When we drove in and the hot sounding DJ says, she goes, is anyone holding an extra ticket for me for Comic-Con?
Oh, yeah,
I really need to go.
Yeah,
And it's like, ha!
Yeah.
I'm religion the nerds.
Yeah, pretty much San Diego looks forward to the nerds coming to town because they get a lot of money from the nerds.
Damn Skippy.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars.
Nerds like to buy stuff.
Yeah, and down in that area, they will jack everything up, you know.
Oh, my God.
The $5 glass of water.
Yeah, I mean,
No, more than anything that really gets me going is the hotels.
Oh,
I was
The
about to say
400% hike up on the hotel
Oh
rooms.
God.
I used to, we used to stay at
it's
the.
like the Super Bowl, man. I mean,
It is.
You know.
And what was hilarious is when they were putting the room prices were going up and up and up. Your room, the floor of your Motel 6 room would look like the wounded scene in Gone with the Wind. You'd have all these people laying on the floor of your room.
Yes,
you
yes.
know? And I mean, it was the Ash Street Motel 6 went up to $3,000 for 4 nights.
And that's a
When was
crappy.
This was like 5 years ago.
And that's not even a good place, man.
No, no, no.
Well, about 6 or 7 years ago. Now this was going to the east of the convention center. I would say maybe about 5 minutes out that way, and there was this dive of a place.
The one where you wake up covered in bug bites. I stayed
I
there.
don't know, but they were charging $200 for this shithole.
Where was this?
That was probably
San Diego.
Probably,
San Diego
was it
Comic-Con.
Hotel Circle, probably? I mean,
No.
No. I mean,
you know what Hotel Circle? You wanted to be downtown because that's where
Yeah,
all the
you
parties
wanna be
It was
downtown,
this
but there's
no-name
a-
kind of
But see,
shithole.
They closed it. They actually closed it. I woke up with a bug bite on my eyelid.
Jesus. Oh,
It was-
man.
I mean,
They
I
closed that
honestly, I
hotel,
was like, I don't
whichever
remember,
one.
but it smelled like mold, and it was
Yeah.
$200. It
Mold
was
and
probably
broken
$50
dreams.
a night. That was too much.
It was
Oh,
just
my-
the amazing thing is there was like the Hotel Churchill,
Yeah.
which was a real dive.
I just remember it's right by where the Comic-Con is in San Diego. It's right by Seaport Village. And you got, you know, the beautiful convention center. You get the Troy, the gas lamp, and all that. And there's a barbecue joint right down the street. And that's where they filmed the sleazy.
Yeah, Kansas City barbecue.
Yeah.
Love that place.
What did they shoot there?
Top Gun, the sleazy.
Top Gun shot in.
Kansas City barbecue. You didn't know that?
Tell
No.
Marilyn the story behind that.
Yeah, no, it's like that was the whole bar scene where he
Where
would play the
Maverick meets-
piano.
You got that loving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And when you go in there, it's not much wider than this.
It's so
it's a
small.
little area. Right there.
It's so small.
By the way, the guy who wrote that scene never got credit. That was Warren, the co-runner of Beetlejuice, because he was one of my first interviews. He wrote, he had the whole "You Lost That Love and Feeling." He gave Goose, he invented the Meg Ryan character and the son for Goose.
Oh.
So you would miss him when he was dead.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because otherwise.
He wrote Batman. He co-wrote Batman. He wrote Beetlejuice. Warren. Why am I blanking your last name, Warren? Wow. But anyway, he wrote that scene, the love and feeling. You lost that love and feeling scene into Top Gun. I forgot Top Gun was all San Diego.
Oh yeah.
Was it Mira Mesa, San Diego, or
all over Oceanside? I've been to Tom Skerritt's house there.
Have you really?
It's the Top Gun house and all that. But yeah, it was all over that city.
Yeah, no, I actually lived in Ocean Beach for a couple of years.
Okay.
Oh, that's a
so
nice
yeah.
place.
Ocean
I
Beach.
love Ocean. Even now, I like
OB was
going
cool,
there.
Dan, because OB was not all infested by tourists. If you remember.
Yeah, it was a hippie.
It was hippy dippy, and it was all local.
Yeah, it was all
There's
cool.
There's a great Jaws ripoff set in Ocean Beach called Tentacles with John Huston and Shelley Winters. And it's Ocean Beach. Ocean Beach was a quiet San Diego town until they discovered tentacles. Tentacoli, if you say in Italian, which I have. So what is your favorite San Diego movie? It has to be Top Gun, right? That's for you, Mr. San Diego.
You know what? You're gonna laugh when I tell you this, because this movie was filmed. A lot of it was filmed right by my house, and it was called Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
I love that movie.
By Stephen Peace, one of your politicians.
Yes, I'm telling you. I mean, I know you've seen it, but
that's with the guy from Bob
I've seen it. I
Newhart
don't remember
show.
it much.
But you know what? No, I'll tell you why. Because Top Gun was okay and all that. I mean, it was but I think Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. That was it shows. Every part of San Diego, Star India, it shows.
Star India.
Yeah, that ship. I've been on there.
At the end, they're at the this Jack Murphy Stadium at the time, and all that. It was just so bad. It was good.
Yeah,
and I'm a fan of really. I can discuss the merits. I'm sure all of us can of a really bad movie, And there, I Plan 9 from Outer Space. I mean, there's so many bad good ones,
Troll.
Troll, yes.
Troll 2.
Yeah.
But it was actually Goblin. They're eating her. Then they're going to eat me. Oh my!
That's why I was a huge fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I love that show.
And because they do what we wish we could do in a theater, pick apart a movie,
I know. Wasn't Paranormal Activity shot in San Diego?
Yeah, that was North County somewhere, Del Mar, I believe it was, and then
and he returned the camera he shot it with. That thing should be in a museum, and he returned the camera he shot it with.
San Diego, California was not very film friendly, and the only show I remember was Simon & Simon that was filmed there, a lot of it, but I think that was mostly exteriors.
Yeah, but remember, Cannell discovered you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Cannell and a guy named Stu Seagal. Pacific Blue.
Yeah, and they did really good. I mean, they did Silk Stockings and those things, but I remember if you watch Some Like It Hot, the Hotel Del is actually, it's Florida. Apparently, they don't even credit San Diego in that movie.
But the Hotel Del. I mean, once you've seen the Stuntman,
it's
my favorite San Diego movie.
People used to ask me if did it really catch on fire? No.
But you got to see a documentary. It's called.
It just wasn't film friendly. I mean, they didn't like movies.
As beautiful as it was, there's a movie about Hampton Fancher, the guy who co-wrote Blade Runner.
Okay.
And he was this bit actor. He was like a guest actor. Nothing was working for him. He was sleeping with Barbara Hershey. And she told him, why don't you write something while she was making The Stuntman? And he literally sat down one day and wrote Blade Runner before he even had the rights to the story.
Oh.
Really?
And he wrote Blade Runner in San Diego, according to this documentary.
Do you know why Coronado? Have you've been to Coronado before in the Hotel Del?
Very quickly, I've not really been able to explore Coronado the way I would have liked.
Do you know why it's called the Emerald City? Dan, do you know why Coronado is called the Emerald City?
Seattle's the Emerald City.
No, I do not, but
Seattle,
I do love Coronado.
That's
Me
because-
and my wife stayed there quite a few times.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, it is. That's because the author of The Wizard of Oz wrote The Wizard of Oz. That's why.
Frank Baum wrote Wizard of Oz in San Diego.
in San Diego.
But why is Seattle the Emerald City?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is what I was told.
Has it rained?
I like
It rains so much it's green?
Yeah. Now listen, shove your city pride. You are not America's finest city.
No, I don't. Actually don't miss it that much at all.
Yeah, but it's only 2 hours away if you decide to go.
Not
You
for
know
me
what I mean?
anymore. I'm up in Central California, man. I'm up in
Oh, crap,
farming.
that's right. I'm
Dude,
sorry.
I'm up
He's
by,
in Fresno.
I'm by
up by
I'm
Fresno.
in Clovis. I'm by Yosemite. I'm in San Joaquin Valley.
What's impressive about you is you're no more than an hour from your nearest Anderson's pea soup.
That's true. That's true.
No, interesting
Have you been there
story
yet?
about Hotel
Been there.
Coronado. We had a Christmas party there one year, and my sales manager at the time was a goofball, and he liked me, and he liked my weird sense of humor. And he booked me in the haunted room. It was room number 13, where
Oh,
somebody
man.
was murdered.
Kate Morgan.
in. Yes. And my
battery-
wife, I think,
your
was
batteries real quick.
either very drunk or she got possessed because she was acting very crazy.
What the hell was that?
Watch your porn later, Joyner.
Oh, that was here. That was here.
There's no porn going on here. My wife's listening.
That was it.
Rhonda, it wasn't his. It was Steve Joyner's
No,
porn.
it was not my wife. I'm gonna get in trouble with my wife. No, so, but no, I was when you go Facebook Live, it eats your battery.
Oh yeah, and it sucks it dry, man. I'll be down to like 20% when this is done.
But I mean, other great movies shot in San Diego, Demolition Man.
yeah.
Demolition Man used the San Diego.
You know, they got a
Convention
lot of modern architecture down there, which you could use for futuristic movies.
Citizen Kane part of it was filmed down there.
I did not know that. The civic pride. I like how Steve suddenly sits up straight. He's talking about his hometown. There's his pride. Yes, see,
baby,
there
that
you
was a
go.
good. No, the Citizen Kane. I mean, Kane. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, for the most part, though, you know, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes was one of these horrible movies
But-
that you'll watch.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so bad it's good. I mean, I love when they all shuffle in a little room for the meeting and I don't know, it was just I think that was really just a funny, you know.
Clooney got his start in Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yes, he was.
Did he really?
Oh
Yeah, he
yeah.
was in the sequel.
He starred in the sequel as his first starring role.
Well, Jennifer Aniston. She got her start in
Leprechaun.
Leprechaun.
I remember
I
because
remember watching that at the theater thinking, God, this girl's amazing. I really did.
I was furious because you're waiting for, because she was the beautiful girl in the movie, so you're waiting for the nude scene because it's low budget horror.
Yeah,
And it
none.
never came.
Oh,
No.
Oh, we were always waiting for the low budget nude scene.
It's like this girl has a future because she wouldn't even do a nude scene.
Good for her.
Yeah, how dare you?
I mean, we're not trying to sound bad, but it's just we were talking about you. I called yesterday. I called in and Lisa Wilcox from.
She's
Night
great,
was
isn't she?
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were
This is
talking
real.
about the rules of the horror film, boobs and you know,
Boobs, blood,
Boobs, blood.
And for some reason, low budget movies always have to have a big funeral scene. There has to be the entire
You're
cast.
right. No, you're right.
I've
That has
never
to show.
understood
Hey,
that.
we can.
In
get
reality,
them all.
you know, maybe 3 or 4 people might show up to your funeral.
But they'll have like 100 people, and it's always the scene. If you've got some broken, you'll have the broken down guy to add credibility. We used to call it the George Kennedy role. You know, he'll come in as the sheriff or John
Yeah,
Saxon. We got to find that murderer. And he's like one line, but you have this 100-person funeral.
That's what I loved about. You remember Heather's?
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, those.
I mean,
yes.
they assembled.
I think they're bringing that back.
Are they going to
Yeah,
remake?
it's a play. It's a musical now.
They had
Oh.
it in downtown Upland. They had
Yes.
others to play. Yeah.
It was written by a guy named Dan Waters.
It's
And
great. Yeah.
it's a parody of a 70s movie, really obscure 70s
Really?
movie called Massacre at Central High. If you
Okay.
want to see the real Heathers, it starred Massacre is really obscure. It's a Dutch filmmaker, but it was shot here. It was shot in Claremont. Central High is one of the Claremont colleges.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It starred like Cheryl Rainbow Smith, Laney.
Oh wait! I know this film.
Robert Carradine's in it.
Yes.
It's basically oppression. There's 3 bullies who ruled the school, and there's a new guy in school who helps the guys fight back the bullies.
I know someone that was in that movie.
Who?
Gary Cavanero. Gary was Engelberg in the Bad News Bears,
Wow.
and that was the only other movie he did was Mass. That's where I remembered
You
it.
know him though.
I know Gary. Yeah.
I've been trying to get an article on it going. Let me know if
I'll
he
give you
feels
his
it-
number. No, he's
would love that.
nicest guy in the world. Gary is. I know him and David Pollock, and the guy that played Aaron Blunt, who played. But Gary, I feel like calling him right now. Hey Gary, but Gary's,
No, this is you. This is
No,
your
no,
show, you
but-
guys.
but I just I'm intriigued. Like, so
I
tell
was
us
Hey,
more,
Actually,
yeah.
no. It's like, and I was looking up the Heathers because I know I read something, and there's
Dan Waters?
there's a reboot, a 10-episode reboot that's coming up on Heathers.
Okay, well that poses
that?
When was that movie made? Was that
1980.
1988.
In the
Wow.
80s. Yeah.
88? It was 88.
It says 80s.
30
yeah.
years. Just think about that. 30 years.
I remember
I'm
that
old.
No, when
Christian Slayer saying, "You say tomatoes, I say tomatoes," right?
It was this whole imitate Jack Nicholson thing.
He invoked him very well.
He did.
Well, remember the girl? One of the terrible things about Heathers is one of the Heathers says, "What have you been doing? Eating brain tumors for breakfast?" And that actress died of a brain tumor.
Oh, no,
did not
how
know
horrible.
Yeah, and I mean, Heathers has this weird history. It's
Is it
essentially
like Rebel Without a Cause and Poltergeist where people just dropped off?
literally. Well, she did the terrible thing. She did. Gun Shaddix died. Gun Shaddix was in Beetlejuice.
Who was
and-
she? Who's the actress? I'm trying to picture which one.
I want to say
Heather-
Elizabeth
was
Scott.
it the blonde one or was
Yeah,
it
the beautiful blonde one.
she died of a brain? Oh
Yeah,
man.
the one who has the line, and
Oh.
you know, and everyone was like, but when you look at it, if you look at Massacre at Central High, all he did was change the 3 bullies who ruled the school into girls with the same name.
Interesting.
And like Kevin Smith and like Tarantino, Dan Waters had a video store background. You know, where he literally, you know what I mean, he'd seen everything, and so he was able to reprocess it and make it a different movie. I mean, Heathers is a brilliant, brilliant movie. It would never be made today. When you see it, when they do that 10 episode, I guarantee you, everything that was edgy about the original Heathers will be gone.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know.
Now,
That's like when they attempted to do Clerks TV
I
series.
was about to
They
ask
cut the
about
balls
that.
off.
that yeah, it's you know they watered it down so much.
It had no meaning. I mean, the sex and necrophilia and everything else that made Clerks was gone.
It wasn't gonna work.
In the cartoon, yeah, they just, you know.
Well, in the cartoon though, it's and the thing is they didn't put it in the right order, and they only aired 2 episodes and out of order for that matter. It probably wasn't even on the right network, you know. So
I got a question now. I've seen the Clerks action figures, the little cartoon action figures. Was there
in action figures actually.
Oh, yeah, because it was cheaper to make them inarticulate.
that little? They did the black and white ones and the color ones. Is there a Veronica one?
It's all the boys.
Okay, I'll have to sculpt one. I'll have to make one up. and make
Well,
one.
well, it's not even all the boys. I mean, for Clerks, yes, it's the guys. But they've done some of the in-action figures for some of the other films, and so they included some of the girls on those. And
Because the original line had no girls. Originally,
right?
the-
Yeah,
yeah.
no, yeah. So
That'd be a good collectible. That gives me. I'm gonna sculpt me a Marilyn figure to match it up.
You should make a bobblehead.
A Marilyn bobblehead.
it's like I have no control over any of that stuff. So
Okay, you've been to Flint, Michigan, haven't you?
yes, I believe
You
I
were
did.
filming a movie there in Flint, Michigan.
What movie was that?
Oh, remember what comes
Remind me.
what comes before Friday the 13th?
Thursday
Thursday the
12th.
12th. I thought that is such a clever. I think that's clever. I like that.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun to do. And funny story on that
Please.
is Brad.
Bradley Allight. He's that funny chubby guy with the.
Yeah. We've known each other now for a few years, and we would, Facebook message or whatever every so often. And one morning, I was on my way to Big Lots. And,
Yay!
Formerly Pickinson.
and he texts me and he's like, "What are you doing today?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm, on my way to Big Lots, whatever." And it's like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but basically it's like, "Do you want to come work on a film?" And I'm like, "Sure, when?" It's like, "Tonight." I'm like, okay. So basically, I had to get out of Big Lots, go home, pack. He was making arrangements at the airport. I have to pick up the tickets at the
Wow!
airport.
All of a sudden, you're going from New Jersey to Michigan.
No, I was here. It was
Oh,
here.
you were here in
Yeah, I
LA.
was here in LA. This was only a couple years ago, actually.
Wow.
They haven't finished the film. They have to finish. But yeah, I basically, it's like went there that evening and was on set to shoot.
And you were playing Morgan the Gypsy, a gypsy woman.
You actually shot a movie in Michigan.
What was your costuming? What was your What was your?
They got me. They got me this costume, off the Halloween shelf. Because it's not necessarily the gypsy that you would think. So when you say that,
I'm
So
picturing
there's more
in
to
my
the story.
mind right now.
yeah, there's more to the story than just gypsy.
Okay, I've got a question from. It's actually San Diego.
Wow.
For each person here, Netflix or Amazon Prime?
Netflix.
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 Thank you.
Jandra.
Amazon Prime is a waste of time.
Totally.
What I love about Netflix, one, is cheap, but more importantly, whatever you're watching, I was in a big Kurosawa phase, so it would throw other Asian movies at you. I was in a Western phase, it would keep throwing. I love that it picks based on what you're
Based
choosing.
on your preference, it will.
That's
and
amazing.
Amazon Prime is a tease because if
'cause
you
it-
find a
it-
movie, they'll charge
Well,
you.
not to
No.
mention the fact that they charge you a yearly fee,
Yeah, yeah.
and that doesn't mean that you will get all these movies for free.
yeah, screw
There
them.
still may be a charge on some of these movies, and many of what I had on Netflix. I did the trial for Amazon Prime, and many of the movies that I was able to see on Netflix were on there that I was able to see for free on Amazon. So I'm like, why am I going to pay that money? I'll stick with Netflix.
Yeah, like Okja. I mean, you got Okja on Netflix. You got
They're doing a lot of great content.
American Horror Story on Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat that series, And as much as I dislike Lady Gaga, that show was great
A,
with.
a friend of mine was on American Horror Story. One episode, Larry Cedar.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And so the thing was, I came down here. My original plan was to come down to LA later this afternoon.
Sorry about that.
No.
I love that you're here, by the way.
I'm happy to be. This is awesome.
This blows us away.
I never wake up this early. But anyway, the thing is that I was going to come down to LA and meet up with Stan Livingston and Jeff East. I'm still doing that. Then I was going to go see Larry's play. I didn't buy a ticket, and he sold out. So Larry Cedar was the auctioneer of the house, but he was in the Twilight Zone movie. He was a gremlin on the airplane wing.
He's the
Oh,
guy
okay.
who turns into cockroaches in the Keanu Reeves
Yeah,
Constantine.
He's been everywhere. Yeah, and Larry's
He's
awesome.
this great character actor. You've seen a million commercials and
He was in
everything.
Battlestar Galactica. Can you believe that, dude? I mean, he goes back. MASH. I mean, he's just.
I met him at SAG. You know,
He's a nice dude.
He's
man.
extremely nice. You know, he's just this cool hippie type, and you've seen him in everything.
Someone mentioned David Carradine. Who was that? Because
I did his last interview.
Eddie Deason
Wow.
said David Carradine hated him.
David Carradine was.
He said he looked at him like, oh man. His exact words were, he said he looked at me like a Nazi looked at a Jew. He said he hated me. He said Tom Bosley was mean to him too because Eddie likes everybody. But he said that
Bosley was mean to him.
Tom Bosley was mean to Eddie Deason. But he said Carradine just looked at him. I don't know what they were doing together, but it was just, he said,
Well, remember David was weird because
well, he died weird. I mean,
yeah, but his agent gave me his number, and he goes, "You're gonna love David. You're gonna enjoy David so much." And he goes, "You're
Yeah.
gonna feel like David's an old friend." And he goes, "Maybe about halfway through your interview, David's gonna look at you and he's gonna smile and he's gonna say, 'Hey, how did you find my number?'" And you don't fucking tell him. Pardon my French. You don't bleeping tell him. You never say my name and David's in the same sentence unless, you know. And he did exactly that, you know.
Really?
He would quote Buddha. He would quote this. He would quote that. He'd let a spider out of the room so it didn't get killed. And then hey, how'd you find my number? And I mean, he showed up. This is one of the great David Carradine stories. He directed a movie called Carousel with his then wife Barbara Hershey, or Americana. Americana was what it was called.
Okay.
About, you know, it's a hippie thing about putting a carousel back together. And the famous cinematographer, was it Haskell Wexler? It might have been Wexler.
Oh yeah, he did a lot of good. Go ahead. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He was appearing at maybe the New Art or something. Carradine showed up and wound up hitting him in the head with a microphone. It's a true story. In front of a room full of people. It was what Wexler, it was either Wexler or one of their cinematographer. Hit him on top of the head. Are you bored? You want some
Haskell
TV, Jeff?
Wexler was involved.
Stupid-ass
Was he
computer.
involved in Easy Rider? Or,
I believe
think
he
so,
was.
yeah.
I believe he-
Rosemary's Baby, and I mean,
I'm trying. I want to make sure I'm giving the right DP. Jeff, you want to turn that off?
I'm trying.
Why don't you close it? So what happened is he showed up and bonked him on the head at an industry screening, and the room was full of people. Everyone saw him do this. And what's amazing about Carradine is if a star tries to walk off a show nowadays, they will sue you into space.
yeah.
David Carradine was so nuts. We were talking about Kung Fu, and Kung Fu never got canceled. It was a hit. They just stopped running it, and they said, well, Kung Fu's done. After 2.5 seasons, David Carradine told me he got bored and stopped showing up for work.
Wow.
But because of his history and his being a wild man, nobody was going to sue David Carradine because he would take it up with them.
Wow.
I mean, one of his stories, when he was high, he came out of his house, walked 2 doors down, kicked his way through his neighbor's glass window.
that. He started kung fu kicking.
And then I think he took a radio or something and went back to his house. And it was the perfect crime until they found the trail of blood to his front door.
See that, and I heard Evil Knievel was one of those dudes that would like take a gun to you or something.
If you look at the Evil Knievel documentary,
yeah,
he was a bad dude. He was a bad.
Just had to, yeah, but the thing about Carradine and Kung Fu was that was Bruce Lee. It was supposed to be his. Who was one of your favorite people you worked with?
Yeah, I mean,
You're asking me a favorite again.
Oh, okay, no, who's someone you enjoyed a lot?
Yeah.
You look back and you're like, God, I can't wait.
You've done a ton of stuff. Even Sci-Fi Channel, you worked with a bunch of legendary people. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, but
Who's your favorite?
I think most of the people that I worked with would be when I was a hair and makeup artist. James Hong. I was
Oh wow, James Hong.
totally intimidated doing his makeup because here, it's like he's had his makeup done by the best of the best.
Chinatown. Ben Nye's done his makeup.
Oh my gosh. I'm drawing a blank on their names right now, but quite a few, really quite a few that I just really enjoyed. They were great people to work with. But then, when
Who was the worst? I'm sorry.
The worst?
Yeah. Did anyone total diva on you?
No. But here's the thing, though. Hair and makeup is kind of like the place to go to when they want to get away from
Yeah.
from
BS.
like the whole, exactly. So we're like their friends, so
But hair and makeup, this is what people forget. Hair and makeup makes or breaks the movie because the lead actress will be in that chair for 3 hours.
sometimes those making the films kind of forget about that because there have been occasions where they don't really give us any kind of direction or they don't give us any time to do what we want to do. So, it's going to come back at you from people in the audience watching, but it's not your fault. I know what is my fault and what isn't, and it's like, I would have liked to have done something a little bit different, but you get the time that you get.
Yeah, I don't know how the movies are, but I know being on stage because I'm in a rock band. And I do my own
What's
makeup.
the band called? Right?
Hashtag Yeasty
The
Boys.
Yeasty Boys. And
He's a clown.
I dress up as a clown, and I put on my clown makeup, and by half of the
All
show,
my childhood fears.
by the half of the show with the lights on me, my makeup starts melting, and then I start looking like a zombie. I'm like,
I did a post on Halloween about I was cast in a production of Arsenic and Old Lace at the La Jolla Playhouse.
Wow.
And I played Jonathan Brewster.
Really?
And if you remember the play,
cool.
he had botched plastic surgery and he ended up looking like Boris Karloff. And I remember sitting
That's a line of the play, too.
and I'm sitting in there and they put the rubber thing in. And theater, I don't know how you felt. Theater, man, there's no...
I loved theater.
You're like this. You
Yeah.
can't stop. And
And there was one in particular because I did same time next year.
Okay.
So there you got a lot of changes in between scenes and stuff like that because
That's
it's
right,
like,
that's right.
yeah, as we age.
Yeah.
And I would say that was something that was a little bit on the challenging side as well for me. It's
Because you got to go like, okay, same 10 years, and then the
Yeah.
whole hair and the whole nine
getting
yards.
older, had to age myself in the back when it's really dark and all that. Yeah. So,
Did you age yourself hot? Because I've seen same
No,
time
I mean,
next year where
it's like
they
you
look
can-
like zombies towards the end.
there's only so much you can do in 2 seconds.
You get-
So,
like next act, you're on stage.
and I mean, thankfully at least I know makeup and all that kind of stuff, and so I knew what I had to do, and you do it. But yeah, no. it was-
is the lighting on films as intense as the lighting on stage?
Huh,
what do
that's
you
interesting.
mean by
Like when I'm on stage, the lighting
the
is
heat?
hot.
The heat.
The heat.
It depends. Nowadays with digital,
LED light. lighting.
you don't. Lights aren't as harsh and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So it's at least on the independent films that I've worked on, they don't have the budgets to get all these big big lights and
The
things like
Musco
that.
Stadium lighting is usually not on the big, small sci-fi. But what I was going to ask you is, in the makeup trailer, that's where you have the main actress with you for like 4 hours. I've been on low-budget movies where the makeup girl had an issue with the director,
Okay.
and she would basically poison the water. She would be talking about how terrible the director was.
Oh wow.
The lead actress would come out and make a snit with the director when she sat in that chair and she was totally mellow and she liked the director. By the time she was out of that chair, she was ready to kill the guy who hired her. You know, and to me, that's where you, if you don't stay on top of the makeup artist, if you don't get a cool makeup artist, you know, a good vibe going,
Yeah.
you could have a mutiny on your hands by first lunch. You know?
I'm surprised that makeup artist then lasted as long as they did. Because I've heard of stories of people just being fired, like right there on the spot.
I'd never seen that before.
I've never seen it. I've heard about
I
it.
saw it. I mean, I saw it with my own eyes. It was like they were ready to get a mob and hunt down the director. By the end of the 3-hour makeup session, it's like, oh my God. And nobody knew where it was coming from. And you're sitting there, and the makeup girl was dissing the director while doing the leading lady's face.
Wow.
She would come out of the makeup trailer ready to kill this poor kid right out of film school. It was amazing. It was exciting to watch. I mean, you know, as a civilian, I didn't have a
It's
dog
like,
in the fight.
you never talk about, you never know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was a still photographer. His name was Robert Zuckerman, and he worked with Cameron Diaz on one of her films, and he said that she was one of the most interesting people because she would walk and say hello to everybody on the set, the gaffer, the key grip, everything. I mean, just really, you know, and ask their opinion. Hey, what do you think about this? I mean, that's cool, right there.
Ray
I
Russo does
try
that
to
too.
do the
You do-
same.
you do
I
that
do.
too?
I
Like,
do
I
try
mean,
to do that.
it's no
No,
hierarchy,
I ask
yeah.
names, but unfortunately, I'm so bad.
No,
so
but you can go up
bad.
and
Yeah, but
you
you're adorable.
introduce yourself. Hey, do you introduce yourself like even to the key grip? Hi, I'm Marilyn.
I
mean,
try to remember, you know, sometimes it's like I kind of I'm in my own little head and my own little world of, you know,
It's
focusing
good on,
and
it's
stuff
good
like
on
that.
two
So, but
things. 'Cause number one, you know, it's a nice thing to do. You know, acknowledge these people because I'm really a big fan. You know, when we talk about the Carl Gallups, the Joe Alves, you know, the Rick Bakers, and all these people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these are people who are kind of unsung heroes in my book. And the
Yeah,
thing is
yeah.
that also, you know, as you know, hair and makeup, you can really ruin their day.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
She's the key to making or breaking the movie.
That's right. So if you come out looking not what the, I mean, yeah.
And the makeup girl was angry because she thought they honored her quote, but she wanted more money once she saw how much work it was. So she would complain 24/7, but it was running and
Oh.
gunning. So she would wait until the leading lady was there. So like the first 3 actresses in the cast, she would do the same spiel. She would launch into how much she hates the director, how much unprepared he is. And it got so bad. When they were trying to call Grace before a shot, she wouldn't. The leading lady wouldn't do it. The second actress wouldn't do it. They wouldn't call Grace because they wanted to hurt the evil director because they've been sitting in a chair for 3 hours, hearing how he was Hitler Jr. And it was like, wow, it was amazing to watch.
Drama and politics, man, over
Yeah,
money,
well,
probably.
and you know, it's like the thing is, it's like everybody has their part in that film, and it's like you need every single part to make that film.
Yeah,
That's
moving-
that's what I love about the indie films, Jeff. I don't know. To me, when I was in one indie film for my whole life, you know.
Which one?
It was a movie that never got released. It was called Proctor. It was in San Diego, and I played a hitman. And
Really?
it's because I was tall. I mean, not compared to you, but
Preaching to the choir, brother.
yeah, oh, you're tall, and you look kind of like. And we were like, you look nice, but you look like you could be building a bomb. That's exactly what the guy told me. He said, so we're gonna.
You're a handsome cat. Yeah.
Yeah, but I
If
was
it's
doing
rapist
that.
number 2, I tried to talk them into mugger number 2.
Yeah, it's
my
like-
grandma might see this.
But the funny thing was, I auditioned. I read for the guy that gets killed, and then I get a call 2 days later. No, we're not going to give it to you, but we want you to be the killer. I was like, okay. And I asked,
By the way, that's not a bad problem. The
No,
killer
no.
has the most interesting business.
yeah. Well, I also told him like, hey, if you don't cast me, I'll play bad guy number 1 or 2 because I love seeing people who are huge now. Back in the day,
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey was a mugger in a movie called Heartburn where he robs Meryl Streep. Streep. Anyway, but I always screw her name up. She's
He's
from
good.
Summit, New Jersey, by the way. No,
Actually, one of the great books is Meryl Streep's autobiography.
yeah.
She speaks Italian, And so she read for Jessica Lange's part in King Kong.
Jack O'Halloran was in King Kong.
Jack O'Halloran is in King Kong.
Yes.
And I once got drunk with Jeff Bridges, and he told me King Kong stories at the rap party for K-Pax.
There's a story I could tell you off air about Jack and Jessica and Baryshnikov.
I'm going to have to hear that because one of the great things about Jack's a boxer. He's in that movie. He and Julius Carey III.
Yes.
Who has a bench named after him. He was Teehee in James Bond. He has a bench named after him at the Motion Picture Country Home and Hospital because he was there for. When you saw him in King Kong and in James Bond, he was in his late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah. He was the oldest. Yappa Kotto and Jeffrey Holder and all the other.
You represent Yappa Kotto. I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, thank you. It was his birthday yesterday.
I saw that. Truck Turner is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah, he's great, but I don't know. I want to talk more about Marilyn.
I want to talk more about Marilyn too. I'm just going up. I'm digging.
Screw both of you. I want to talk to Marilyn.
I'm digging all these versatile characters that she can play.
I don't want, but I mean, she's got you. You really. How do you find? Okay, I asked this to a couple of women. I won't say them because I'll probably get. But I feel personally. And I know it's an old story, but there is kind of a horrible double standard with actresses. You know, the older you get, lesser roles. We get older. Oh, we're distinguished now, or whatever. Do you think it's changing for the better? Or
I don't know. Hopefully, and with all this controversy that we're recently having now as well, that it's kind of opened up the window a little bit more as far as like the pay inequality as well. Yeah. So. Hopefully it does. I feel that now, hopefully, it'll open the door for more women filmmakers. So, with that being said, then you've got more women who are going to be making the films, who will put maybe women in the protagonist roles and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. We can hope. I mean, I don't know. It's like my career as I'm getting older. It's always been very difficult for me. I mean, I still have a day job. My survival jobs.
Yeah.
So, who's to say? It's like we don't know.
No, it's scary.
I mean, one thing that's always irritated me
is the Jerseyisms.
is the fact that you've got these films with older guys with 20 to 25-year-old younger wives.
Young enough to be their daughters.
Come on.
Granddaughters and daughters.
If you look at Mermaids, a Frank Oz movie, where Johnny Depp is dating Winona Ryder, and they're like proto-parents to her baby sister, Christina Ricci. Then, several years later, you get Legend of Sleepy Hollow, where Johnny Depp is now dating Christina Ricci.
Yeah.
And Winona Ryder, if she's lucky enough to get cast as Spock's mother.
Exactly.
It'd be nice. It's like if they were somewhat of the same age, like in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, obviously, here in Hollywood, that's a whole different animal. That doesn't, because...
Oh, yeah. It's usually 25-year older producers, and they're...
Yeah, but we all know that's something different, It's like...
Well, Marilyn and I are 62 days apart.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
We're the same. Our birthdays... Our birthdays... Shut up! We're only 62 days apart. I'm not telling what year we were born.
What's your birth date?
That's his biggest fear.
What month and day were you?
June 13th.
I was going to say, it's like, are you before or after me? So you're before me.
Yeah, you're August
10th. Yeah.
August 10th.
I'm July 7th.
Wow. November.
You could have been a Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Your birthday was...
Yesterday.
What the heck? No, you didn't. I didn't get
yesterday? Happy birthday.
What? You didn't put... He doesn't put that on his Facebook
notification or nothing. What do you...
My dad died on my birthday, so I don't make a big deal.
Oh, my God, Patrick. Oh,
no,
man.
you know what I mean?
Poor Patrick.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Not yesterday, and 5 years ago, but yeah.
No, oh, man.
So it's usually... it's good. It's cool, but it was weird, because since then, I don't really feel celebratory about it. That makes sense?
Absolutely. It's like, it seems that loved ones seem to die on special days.
Yeah, there you go.
Whether it be the holidays or your birthday. Yeah.
If I wasn't so broke, I'd take you to Chuck E. Cheese.
You know? Well, but remember the restraining order. You can't go in there anymore, remember?
Oh, yeah.
No, but the question for me is, when you're doing this, and you came out of Jersey, you know, when did you decide you wanted to be an actress and makeup and hair?
How did you fall into the makeup thing?
Well, no, I worked in a salon back east.
Oh, you were already doing that.
Yeah, I was working in a salon. So I kind of segued into acting when I was getting a divorce and trying to find myself. And just kind of fell into acting by way of other means. But not right now, thank you.
You still happy? Keep going, I'm sorry.
So it's something that just kind of fell into my lap and spoke to me, and then I basically found somewhere to take classes, and once I felt like I was comfortable enough to go out into the world and start putting what I've learned into practice, then that I went into community theater, and from there it just kind of built up.
Now, are the acting classes back east? Are they a lot like the ones out here in LA, where you have one guy that did one minuscule job?
No,
and then he's a guru?
I was very, very, very lucky.
I'm calling him like.
I was very lucky that I found someone by the name of John Ide, who actually went to the Actors Studio.
Oh, hello. Okay.
And brought what he learned, and I mean he taught in the city as well before he came to New Jersey to teach what he knew. So yeah, I learned Adler, Stanislavski, method, and Meisner. Yeah, I learned it all, and then I don't remember it all.
That's a real deal. Because I mean, we had him in San Diego too. It's like, oh, I was in a Ford commercial, and but I'm now,
No, I was very lucky to find what I did find. Yeah, I don't know what's happened to him since. I mean, the place that he had was called Actors Training Institute, and I think it's still around. I just don't know whether he's still teaching.
Look on
or not.
Facebook. If he's there, he's there.
Yeah, well, some people still don't do even that.
Yeah.
No, to come back for a minute on Clerks, how did you come to Kevin Smith's attention?
I was in the middle of doing community theater at the time. In fact, I was doing same time next year.
Wow.
And we heard through the grapevine that they were going to be holding auditions at the First Avenue Playhouse, where I had actually done some shows as well. And all we had to do was bring a monologue. So I went there, I did the monologue, which you can see on the 10th anniversary DVD, which was, I'm going to say, okay. It wasn't my best performance on that monologue. Yeah, Kevin called me up. I was like, do you want to, I'd like to have you read the part, see that you're comfortable with what I'd be saying. And I went down to the convenience store to pick it up and meet Kevin one-on-one, and yeah.
Wow.
Was the thought of doing film a little intimidating?
Yeah, you've been a stage actress?
I don't honestly, I can't remember whether I felt intimidated by it or not. I mean, I just saw it as the next stepping stone.
Because for some people, it's a trip, man. I mean, when they, don't look at that thing looking at you. If you have an objective relationship with the camera, I mean.
Right, I know. Yeah, it's sometimes it gets very tricky, especially with now that they have self tapes and stuff like that. And sometimes when you're doing interviews, it's like you're asked to look at the camera, and when you're trained to not look at the camera, so it gets kind of weird.
And also for theater actors, as you guys probably are aware, just my observation is that when you're doing film, you can talk real low, like, hey, and then you do your whole dialogue.
Right.
In theater, it's real projected and all that, and it's like, no, take it down.
Yeah, it's like you have to find that balance when you're doing theater of being comfortable and still yelling at the top of your lungs, so it doesn't sound like you're yelling at the top of your lungs.
Olympia Dukakis, is she still alive, dude? I don't even know.
I believe she is.
Anyway, I mean, I'm not trying, but they said that when she did Still Magnolias, the director was like, all right, take it down. You're not on. She's like, ah. She's got to have this real out there, and
Yeah.
couldn't transition to films too well, which is sad because Moonstruck she did good, but I mean, theater, and so
Mm-hmm.
over the top and
Yeah.
and
No.
mugging and all that.
But
Yeah, true.
what I've found, and it seems that for the most part, it's a lot easier to bring down the theater actor than it is to bring up the film actor.
Wow.
That
interesting.
transitions.
Yeah, you know what? I see. No, she makes
That
really
makes sense.
good. Yeah.
I understand that.
Never thought of it like that.
Underplaying. Yeah, they're so used to John Badham told me this story. When he made the Dracula movie, he brought in Frank Langella. And they had the world's greatest actor playing Van Helsing. What's his name? World's greatest Olivier. Laurence Olivier was playing. So he said Langella was being really bombastic. Bah, 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 boom, 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 boom. And he said Olivier was underplaying it. It's a cash run for him. So he's being really, really quiet. And he's underplaying everything. And he said to Langella, you gotta start taking a cue from him because you're gonna be laughed off the screen.
Yeah.
And he put together all these 2 shots of him and Olivier. And he said, Langella sunk in his seat. And he said, oh my dear God. And he altered the performance so it wouldn't destroy him. You know what I mean?
Right, especially when you're kind of up close like this. It's like, if it's a wide
Yeah.
shot, it's like, well, sure, maybe you can be a little bit, but you still have to kind of bring it down.
And
But-
it was a literal adaptation. And he said the other bad thing is one of the trailers before his movie opened was Love at First Bite. And he said when his Dracula trailer played, people started pointing at the screen and laughing.
Oh.
He said to this day he cannot watch Love at
We
First
hit the
Bite.
5-minute warning, Pat.
We're getting
and
down.
it's not 8 either.
I want to plug Marilyn as being an artist as well. She makes jewelry
right.
out of precious stones and different kinds of stones and necklaces, and they would make great gifts.
You're a sculptor. That's right up your alley right there.
Well, we talked about this over at the convention. She showed me all her box of stones and stuff that's polished, and she makes necklaces and
I
pendants.
wire wrap them, yeah.
Wire wraps them.
Wow.
They make great gifts for Christmas. Let's. You
And
want to plug
Hanukkah
this,
and
Marilyn?
Kwanzaa.
Yeah, I have quite a few stones that I still have to find the time and sit down and wire wrap. But I do have some that are up there, and it's like if you go to MarilynGigliotti.com,
Spell it for us.
Spell.
Everyone forgets the H.
GHIGLIOTTI. Marilyn as in
You
Monroe.
can copy the link and put it in the comment section. underneath it.
But the store link is there so that you can see what is left. But
You do beautiful work. I was really impressed with your jewelry making.
Okay.
you.
I will contact you when I go visit my mom and my sister in North Carolina. I should buy them gifts.
I
from
am
Marilyn.
making an executive decision.
Yeah.
We're having a good time, and we haven't got to half the stories I think we have.
Yeah,
with
there
you
we go.
two.
All right,
So we're gonna go overtime.
Wow. Nice.
Screw
Hey, maybe
man.
we'll get to beat traffic now too on the way
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Screw management, because I am
Anarchy.
management.
I get so scared, Dan. You're our protector.
Yesterday
He is our
was
protector.
yesterday was they were interviewing Mary Dallas in studio and Steve
What a
Rubin.
great lady.
And Steve Rubin and Pat's all, we gotta go. Anything you want to plug? And it was 7:55.
That was funny.
I'm like, what's the show ending at 8 now? And I was like, what? He's like, he texted me, oh, can you call back? And I'm calling him back. And then Lisa Wilcox is calling me. I'm like, hey, you got to go on the show real quick. Oh, okay.
She was even better than Steve Rubin, so we were very glad
Yeah.
you called back.
Steve's a good guy, but
little too dry.
he's just a little dry. It's like, he's like Ben Steiny, Bueller.
It's like,
I like
So let me
Welcome to the Jeff Sargent Show. What would you
Viva
like to talk
extra
about?
time.
let me reset the clocks here,
Damn
and I'm
right.
just gonna play
Beach
a
Boys.
clip of a song.
Beach Boys. Listen, that's
No,
our-
this is my homeboy Tom Waits
Oh.
Oh,
Pomona.
you're homeboy Tom Waits. Okay.
From Pomona,
from
California.
Pomona, California.
And Bram Stoker's Dracula 25 years ago.
He was
London.
Renfield, yeah.
Yeah.
My only purpose in life is to
serve
serve
the
you, master.
25 years ago. My God.
Somebody just James Jaw Dillon. I think it's coming from him. A nice Italian girl.
Oh my God, Marilyn! I meant to ask.
Are they? Is that you? Or are they videotaping?
I keep hearing voices.
I don't know what's going on here. I'm just a
Are we
person.
on-
I'm
are we
just a
on
radio.
I
I'm just a
hate that
personality.
Steve is finally in
They
the
tell-
studio.
they tell you to get on, it's like, okay.
All I don't know how to do
Are
is
we muted right now?
maybe.
Are we?
work a little-
We're off right
work
now,
these.
right?
They're playing music?
Oh yeah, they're playing.
Well,
music.
we're on Facebook Live still.
Yeah, but
Oh yes, we are.
Oh no, Jeff East. I could hear Jeff East.
I could hear him breathing in the
He's
phone.
talking.
What was it? That was so not him. On the. That's not.
That's
his
not the Jeff
personality.
East.
But I didn't get that. What was he going on?
You know what?
with him?
I know what it was because when Jeff was here on Tuesday,
He did a great interview. Great show.
I crank called them.
Oh yeah,
And I
yeah.
pretended-
That-
I-
oh,
I-
Ron from
I-
Johnson.
He's just being a wise
I was
guy.
being a wise guy, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm calling from Inglewood. And Patrick's like, oh my God, we got to call him from Inglewood. And I'm like, what type of shoes were you wearing when you were, and I put on an accent. I was trying to do like a.
LeBron. Your name was
Yeah, that's
LeBron.
right.
Okay,
but
so-
I was going after Waterboy. And like, oh, hello, Mr. East, and then but Patrick's like, damn, you guys, I thought you guys thought it for a minute. The jig was up. So it's just him getting a little payback. Yeah.
It didn't work out that well.
You know what? What's funny, Marilyn, is I went to a low budget screening at the what's that place in Second in downtown?
Independent?
The Independent.
Oh,
And you just had your Rogue Warrior screening there.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock and we're back on.
Yes! Marilyn Gigliotti.
and
is
I'm
doing-
sweating because
I-
I get it in the group text
I
with the
d-
big bad boss.
Yeah, I did my override, and if the big bad boss has a problem, he could come to me,
Yes.
Okay.
which
I
he
have your
usually
back.
does.
Send him again.
Boy,
So let's start with Marilyn. What do you do in Rogue Warrior Robot Fighter?
So I play Zarsis, and it's not a huge role, but it's a very it's a great role, and it's very informative to move the story along because I give this information to the lead character who's played by Tracy Birdsall, wonderful person.
Wow.
And so basically it's about AIs and how they've pretty much taken over the world, and it's like, well, if you want to do something about this is what you got to do. And I love the scene that we have. I mean, it's just that's one that I really love.
There you go. See?
Yeah. But it was very effortless, and it looks it. And just recently I was editing my reels together,
Yay.
and it's like I cut it as much as I could, but it's like I didn't want to leave anything out. But unfortunately, it's like I gotta leave something out, and so basically my drama reel opens up with Rogue and ends with Rogue.
Really? Wow. When
But
did you shoot it?
our particular scene, because oh my gosh, I always tell Neil, I want to go location scouting with you because he finds the most
They look amazing.
amazing places, but he goes off the beaten path, and it's like he's just driving and he'll just, let's go down this road.
Neil Johnson, the writer director, by the
Yes,
way. Sushi.
yes, and so we shot this out in Mojave.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, literally off the beaten path. It's like the only things that you saw down that road was maybe some campers with their RVs.
Yeah.
And yeah,
You shot in the Mojave Desert.
in the
That's so
Mojave
cool.
Desert, and then
A little Jersey
This-
girl doing a robot movie.
no
in the
signs
Mojave.
of life.
there were caves there that basically used to be where they got talc from.
Right. Wow.
Oh, the talc mines. Yeah,
Yeah,
they have those.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and now we're off on this little cliff that I'm afraid of heights. I'm deathly afraid of heights. And so basically it's like, thank God we were on our stomach on the edge of this cliff.
No, did Neil do Alien Abduction as well?
Alien Armageddon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
But-
your version of Battle Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it was supposed to be Battle of Los Angeles originally, the name of it, and then that one actually came out. It's funny. It's like, and the thing is, he's not emulating these movies at all whatsoever. It just seemed because he creates these movies, and it takes him a while to shoot because it's like he doesn't. It's he takes his time to shoot it and make sure that he shoots it right.
Yeah.
And by the time he's actually shot it and has named it already, then all of a sudden there's this movie with the same name. And kind of the same premise as well.
Uh-oh.
And so he winds up having to change the name.
Which is heartbreaking because his is low budget and theirs is 200
Yeah,
million.
right, yeah. But
Guess who's going to move?
Alien Armageddon was the first one that I've done for him, and that's the one that
Makeup
that
and
I
acting
did
on
makeup.
that.
Yeah, and he was kind enough that the day I had my scene to do, it's like I pretty much got everybody done and out of the way for makeup.
Wow.
So that this way I can then go off and get into my head, or
Wow.
get into character.
And did you do your own makeup, by the way?
I didn't do any makeup, which was awesome.
That's
because I
great.
mean, the thing is, it's like
that must feel
I
good.
had a good face day, no breakouts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's like this scene does not call for me to be in makeup. In fact, it calls for me to be just looking a total mess, and I enjoyed that.
Awesome.
Because aliens have destroyed the world.
Yeah, basically. It's like I'm attached to this contraption, giving birth every 5 minutes
Oh, my God.
Whoa.
to things that you just don't want to see.
I love that. I heard you made that in like a really wrecked part of Los Angeles. Is that true?
We were in the Valley.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like he was in a studio in the Valley.
What, somewhere in San Fernando Road area?
Van Nuys.
Van Nuys?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's like he had this
a
little
good spot.
studio, yeah, and he just kind of, where were we? Yeah, I think I'm mixing up two different locations that he had in Van Nuys, but
I knew one of the producers, and she was really excited about how crappy the area you guys found. With all the rubble.
well, here's the thing though. It's like he had a lot of different locations for the different scenes. There was. If you're talking about the rubble with the daytime scenes,
That's the one. Yeah.
that was up in Santa Clarita, I think.
Santa Clarita.
yeah.
Wow. Where Paul Walker died, by the way. If you drive behind the Walmart, you'll see all the
There's a
skid
lot
marks.
of great
Behind-
places to film.
There really are. There
I-
really are. But
Santa-
it was a
Santa-
set place.
Well, Santa Clarita, weird history with that place because they could film, it could double for a lot of things, but there have been
Melrose Place shot there.
Paul
But
Walker-
there's a couple of
Walker died, Vic
studios
Wall died
up
there,
there
and
that
it
it's all
It
outdoor
is-
scenery.
Yeah, you could be in anywhere. You could be in
Well,
New
that's it.
Mexico,
Yeah,
Arizona,
they
wherever.
had
you know,
Right.
Vietnam. You could have Vietnam. You could have New Mexico. I mean, it's amazing. I believe that. I know Dukes of Hazzard A-Team. They shot like a ton of whenever they were in the West or the country.
yeah.
One studio that I can remember the name of or location is Blue Cloud Ranch.
Oh,
Yes.
Blue Sky Ranch.
Blue Sky?
Or
Sky.
Blue Cloud by the pig. The
That
flying
I
pig.
don't remember. I don't remember,
think-
but there's a couple.
No,
and
you're
they're
right.
owned by-
Blue Cloud, and Oak
yeah.
Valley.
Yeah,
With all the tanks. It had all the tanks parked
Yes.
there. From Godzilla and all these
Probably.
other movies.
Yeah, and Santa Clarita also has beautiful suburbs,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
housing tracts.
Blue Cloud, I shot a Denny Trejo movie. I'm the monster in a Denny Trejo
Now, I've
movie.
worked there as a makeup artist as well for other shows and things like that.
They did a lot, so I didn't know how much they shot up there. I know Indian Dunes. I think is shut down completely.
After the owner, after the Twilight Zone, the owner wanted no part of it. And one of the
more.
Indian Dunes is where they shot all the Vietnam shows.
Some kind of
I-
hero was yeah.
Big
I
Moro died
watched.
there.
They were filming Black
Airwolf.
Sheep Squadron. I used to ride my dirt
Oh,
bike.
love that show.
Me and my friends. I had a little XR75, and we were junior high school, and our parents would load our motorcycles up
That's where you rode bikes.
and drop us off, and then another parent would pick us up at the end of the day, and we saw the fake palm trees, and one day we saw them. They were landing the Corsairs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that was badass, man. And-
Well, that's where the Devil Max Devil, and that's where Elliot when he took on the kid who rode motorbikes, they did that up in
Really?
Indian Dunes, yeah, where they had the big nerve, But it was really, I think, because after the misfortune and what happened up there, they kind of. But you're right. It's what's sad is where I live up by Yosemite, which is basically Fresno. Might as well say
Well, my parents, my mom and sister lived in Coarse Gold, which is right.
Richard Keel was from there.
Right,
Big
that,
man.
that was my mom's neighbor. Yeah.
Yeah, I never met him. Jack O'Halloran has great stories about him. But what's funny about there is that I've gone. See, I've been up there 3 years. If my wife and kids weren't there, it'd be like because I'm an urban kid. I like going to a deli at 2 a.m. or I don't like a town that rolls a sidewalk up at night. So anyway, I just like the city. You know, I don't mind traffic. It's who we are. We were all, but me anyway. So I'm up in Mayberry, kind of, and I went to their film. I went to one of their film mixers. I said, I got to just see this shit, right? And I go there, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, Core School, Jesus, it's so much. You could film. It could double for England. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
They don't film crap up there. Nothing up in San Joaquin
It's
Valley.
such ideal location.
Oh my!
Yeah.
San Joaquin Valley, you have parts that look like Nebraska, the English countryside. You go to Core School. I mean,
Well, how about when the geography changes? You got these rocks and these oak trees like
Yeah.
pushing up out of the ground like from some other planet.
I went to their film commission up there in Fresno, and it's a bunch of would-be filmmakers talking about ideas that will never. And I don't mean to sound mean. I don't mean to sound mean, but it's like, so Marilyn, we're going to make a movie. I got a script, and I have no budget, but I have an idea, and I went in, and then you go there next month, and it's sad because I don't know why. And I'm thinking for production companies here in LA, why they don't go up there because it's a lot cheaper. It's
a lot cheaper, but it's quite a bit a ways.
Hotel.
I drove down to be on a
mean,
radio
but-
show
but
for
the
that.
thing- the thing is, though, it's like we're still trying to get more films to be made here.
Right.
Never
Yeah, no, I
mind
got you.
going up
I
there.
got you. And a lot of people have, you know, when I went to Atlanta, I was in Georgia, and I got asked about California, the dumb California questions, and we all have had them. Oh, what's he ever, you know? You ever met so and so or what's? But they said where they film it. They don't really film a lot of things out here anymore. When you can go on location, that's why the old Columbia and the MGM movies, you know, with the fake backdrops and all that, those were great to me. I loved them.
Yeah, no, it's amazing because they let film production go. I mean, they let Canada take everything, and now it's Atlanta and New
Toronto
Orleans.
and Atlanta. I mean, all these big cities. I mean,
Louisiana,
And I mean,
Texas. Well, because Texas is getting Lucifer.
yes, Michigan was going to get the Avengers.
what
And
happened?
The governor, at the very last minute, the governor pulled the rebate.
Yeah.
And that mean Avengers went one state over, two states over, and then suddenly Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania had the most expensive movie ever shot in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania with the Avengers. You
Well,
know?
Brad Lyons, he actually now moved to Savannah, Georgia, to continue his filmmaking career because it's like because they pulled the plug in Michigan. So
Oh, yeah.
And I would see this on Facebook, guys, and actors, you know, all these little areas in Atlanta. I'm like, what the hell is the big? But apparently Atlanta was like the Hollywood of the South or something. I mean, they were doing great stuff over there. And
Still are Walking
Still are,
Dead.
yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
a ton of money.
I didn't really think about it. And
actually, you know what? And I said Lucifer. No, it's actually Fear the Walking Dead is going to Texas.
Which is ironic because it's set here. But even here, it was set in LA. They're shooting in Mexico.
Yes, right now they're shooting in Mexico, but they're going to be moving everything to Texas.
Oh, no. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because you asked me my favorite San Diego movie, Titanic. Can't claim it because it was all
It was
down
shot on the other side of the
yeah.
the border. I mean, but with the in the town they shot it in, it's by the blowhole and all this other stuff over in Mexico. They opened up a club, Titanic. Two of the extras and stuntmen on the movie made so much money. They opened up a club in Mexico with an inflatable Titanic out front.
Genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
That's a good marketing deal right there.
I would have done it in a heartbeat.
They play My Heart Will Go On when you come in, and then they play it up. I mean,
Milk that cow.
yeah.
Now, I want to ask you about. I'm a big fan of westerns, and this really excites me. I see this. The end of the Santa Fe Trail. You went to Chama, New Mexico, right? Did you go there yourself?
I don't remember exactly where in New Mexico, but it's because I went to Albuquerque.
Okay.
Good old turkey. but yeah, shot a pilot over there. I don't know what's
This is based
going
on
on
true
with
stories here. This is
You know, I don't-
true story. Sister Blandina Segal. Oh.
Yeah, I played her mother, sending
Your
my daughter.
Mama Segal.
Yes, Mama Segale. I actually talked Italian.
Wow.
Wow.
But here's the thing, though, is like my agent in Albuquerque, she sent me the sides for this and the audition. I had to do a self tape. And it's like, you know, when they need it, it's like yesterday. So I basically had to put this on myself without a reader because I didn't have time to get a reader. And thankfully, it was only 3-4 lines. I took it upon myself knowing that there was Italian, the signs were in English. I took it upon myself to look up one of the lines and to say at least one of those lines in Italian.
Really?
Okay.
Smart girl.
Google, and it's like it'll give you the pronunciation and all and how it sounds. And so I did that and I got it. It almost fell apart though in the negotiations because they were basically looking for Albuquerque talent, New Mexico talent.
I know a big
but they
casting
knew-
agency out there that does Mitchell
Yeah,
Associates does a lot.
But
out
they
there.
knew I was LA based, and so at a certain point, because they were only going to pay a certain amount for wait a minute. No, I never signed an NDA.
But I mean,
But still, it almost fell apart, and it's like, but they really wanted me that bad, so they got me.
I'm glad you're in that. It's gonna make me happy.
I'm
I
looking
love
forward
this
to
one,
it. It's like
especially
I
when
haven't,
they're based on
let
true
it
stories.
finish.
I haven't heard, what's going on with it. It's like my agent was supposed to find out, but I don't know. The way that I thought it was going to be was a TV series, but now I think it's just a mini series or something like that. So I don't know.
Made for TV movie? Is that
Yeah,
what it says
I
there?
don't know.
What happened is they got so cocky. A lot of the places got so cocky. Canada got so cocky that they wouldn't let American cinematographers come in. They wouldn't let American special effects people come in.
Okay.
They did a remake with Lawrence Fishburne of Assault in Precinct 13, this legendary John Carpenter movie.
Okay.
And they were going to give the star of the original Carpenter film, Austin Stoker, a cameo in the movie. And he flew from here to Canada, and they wouldn't let him into the country.
What?
They said, you're up for a role that could easily be played by a Canadian. And he said, but it's an homage. I was in the original. They sent him back. They sent him back. That's why he's...
That's a dick move.
That's not only a dick move. The only reason they wanted this cameo was to have him in the movie. And they wouldn't let him shoot it. They wouldn't let him into the country.
Wow.
You know?
You remember when the Chips movie came out? I used to book Larry Wilcox on a lot of radio programs.
I heard him on one. You had him on Heidi, Frosty, and Frank, I think, right?
I did, yeah.
That was great. Thank you.
Larry was pissed
At
about
that?
the movie. Oh, don't ask him about Chips. It's Porky's. They ruined it. And me and Eric didn't even get called to do a cameo.
I think
Did
that's
you know
what
that Eric did the cameo and then blasted the movie? Eric did the cameo.
Eric did one?
Yeah,
Because
and
he
then
didn't get.
blasted
Well,
it.
maybe he was pissed because he didn't get called. I didn't watch the Chips movies, but he's like, me and Robert Pine and Eric didn't get called. Or
I was booked on that movie because they were shooting in Palm Springs, and that's when I got double booked on Supergirl and Chips,
Oh,
and
what a
I got this
hard life.
confusing.
Yeah.
They got
First
all
of all-
pissed at me. I had to turn them down because I was working on Star Wars at Disneyland, and that was my big money thing, and I couldn't do
He
it.
sculpts the X-Wing fighters and everything else.
that is awesome.
a life-size X-Wing fighter.
I didn't know. I go, Chips, what are they doing? I felt it was going to be silly. I go, I'm not going to do this, Chip. I didn't.
You good call on that one because from what I saw the trailer,
Big
just like
Bob.
stupid and
You know who Robert- but you know
it's
who
a
Robert-
parody of those guys.
You know who
Well,
Robert?
that's like 21 Jump Street as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
It's like when they did
You know
when
what,
they brought
but
that
actually-
back.
Jump Street's brilliant. The Jump
I
Street movies are
enjoyed the,
great.
the movies were actually
Hilarious.
I
enjoyable.
haven't seen it, so I
Well, the
can't
first
say.
one they had a cameo by
Johnny Depp and DeLuise.
DeLuise, thank you.
And Grieco's in the second one.
See, I thought that was good. It was done good, and they didn't ruin it to death. They did two, I think, and that was it.
They did it. What was interesting is the second one, the last 20 minutes are all the sequels they're going to make.
Yeah, and and they're making fun of the fact they will never do it. So it's like
Right.
21 Jump Street goes to
Russia.
Russia.
Well, and then you got the same thing with Baywatch as well.
Oh yeah, and
I didn't see that one.
That was a
Yeah.
bomb, actually. What's interesting, when you see it, it's almost like I think the parody of certain things is a great idea. Jump
Yeah.
Street is so cheesy and Canadian. That was the show. So Cannell was determined to keep costs down.
Okay.
He'd always done everything like a sausage factory, where you would have A-Team, Riptide, all these other shows shooting in Los Angeles at the same time.
Yeah.
Then he discovered San Diego. He discovered you guys.
Uh-huh.
Then he discovered Canada. He's the guy who pulled the pin on LA to Canada. Once he started shooting Jump Street in Canada, it was set here. Nobody could tell the difference.
Yeah.
He started that whole rush over the border.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that the Police Academy movies were all done in Toronto. And
They were, but Paul Maslansky.
Am I wrong?
We would
No,
have to
you're right.
ask Jeff Bressler.
you're right,
He's going to
yeah.
be here tomorrow.
I won't, but ask him.
Yeah,
'cause
I'm going to have
They
to
were
ask
shot
him
in
that.
Toronto, yeah.
Yeah, because I always wondered what city I used to watch Police Academy movies. Going,
What city they were
city
set in?
is this? Because it looks kind of familiar, but I don't know.
But that was the thing. I mean, when you looked in the 80s, when this happened, when everyone started heading for Canada, you would look at a movie like 3 Men and a Baby, where they would have 2 days of shooting in New York for establishing shots.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to see the 3 guys walking by the World Trade Center, walking by,
Yeah.
the train station. And everything else would be Canada. You'd have Canada. I'm from Detroit, so your wife will tell you. It's a totally different environment. Canada has rounded curbs, not like ours.
They don't have trash.
You know an American movie is shooting there because they put trash all over the street.
Yeah.
And all the graffiti is easily wash offable and fake. You know what I mean? But Canada stole the business and it never recovered,
Okay, I this is the worst part of the show that I do.
Oh,
Is
that half hour
I-
went fast.
I've got to pull the plug.
All
I
right.
mean,
No, this is a
I
blast.
get in
No, the
trouble
blast is over.
enough as it
We love you,
is.
Dan.
Dan,
All right.
Well, then you just have to have me back. That's all.
Damn
Yeah,
right.
so let's end the
too.
show with some plugs.
Plug away, baby.
For my plug, I will be with the Rattlescent at the Blacklight District in Long Beach Saturday night.
Bravo.
I'll be working the board. So
Come
that's
say hi.
my plug. Rattlescent.
Do not buy him a drink.
Yeah, don't worry about it. If you buy me one, I'll just throw it at you.
That leads us to our charming female member of the team.
So social media, Marilyn Gigliotti. It's like that clerk's girl on Twitter and Instagram. Marilyn Gigliotti. So yeah, I'm on all 3 platforms of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
It's a full media presentation. You, Stephen Joyner, what do you want to pimp?
I guess I'm gonna plug 3 radio programs. I Conversations Live with Cyrus Webb is a show that I send people to every now and then. He's a friend in Mississippi. The Joe Crawford Show in Canada, and the Jeff Sargent Show.
Yeah!
I mean, you guys are doing.
I don't know our favorite male guest.
I don't live an exciting life. We're gonna be. I'll be at the Walmart tomorrow.
Hey, maybe
No,
exciting to somebody else.
No,
Yeah.
but this has been really fun. I finally meet you guys, and she is awesome, man.
Isn't she?
Thank
Isn't she?
you.
Thank you so
She's
much for
great.
being on our
Thank you.
show,
This
Marilyn.
is a big thing right there. We're just-
I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Jeff Sargent Show, thank you for listening.
Yes,
And
and I will
see you and listen and hear you tomorrow.
And I'll be in back of Walmart in the dumpster, trying to find some boxes to sleep on.
No, intro, but exit is just chaos.
We usually run out of time, so it's always like the end of the movie. Cut
Yeah.
the red wire.
All right, Jeff, we're out. Let's
Well,
go.
hey,